Just walk away. Just walk away, and there will be an end to the horror.
All right, and we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to MGTOW Chats. Today is the day after Hitler's birthday, which was yesterday, known as 420. It's a nice Saturday afternoon here in Canada, and I suppose, well, I guess it's an evening now. And over there, and we've got our guest, John Hardy, who is in Cambodia, and it's what, Monday morning over there?
It's Monday morning, 8:03 Monday morning.
How's the weather? Nice?
It's hot, really hot.
I imagine.
Oh, yeah, today's not quite as bad as yesterday, but we're right in the middle of the hot season now. It hits 100 just about every day. Right. 38 degrees C, yeah, brutal.
No rain.
No.
No rain, eh? When's the rainy season?
No rain. Usually starts around June.
Okay.
But I'm going to Canada next month, so by the time I get back to Cambodia, the rainy season will already have started.
Oh, okay. Right on.
You're going back to Canada more often now, Hardy. What's going on with that?
Well, you know, I'm trying to envision some kind of an exit strategy from Cambodia here. You know, I mean, Cambodia, it's not the country that it used to be. I mean, it's a completely different country. It's not even recognizable as the country that I used to know and love. I mean, you know, it's just you know, I mean, it's the same in some ways. I mean, you know, it's still, you know, difficult. A lot of things are difficult. Like for example, the internet. You know, I'm on my mobile data connection right now because of the goddamn Digi. You know, the Digi fiber to the home service. It's gone out again. It keeps going out, and so I have to use my more expensive mobile data. And, you know, just the general traffic is absolutely terrible. It's getting worse and worse.
But
it's not as much fun as it used to be. Yeah. But, you know, so I'm trying to envision some kind of an exit strategy back to Canada, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, how long have you been there?
We'll get into you de-expatriating later on in the live stream.
Yeah,
sure.
we are going to get into some of the more expatriate stories and stuff, and we can include your experience. Before we get started into the topics, yeah, we just started. Rusky said, Juke BJ says, "What's the song?"
God damn it! This fucking question every fucking live stream. Someone has to ask about the song. It's our song. We're tired of repeating ourselves. If you want to listen to the song, you can listen to the live stream.
I don't even know if the original video is up anymore. So
it's not. Yeah,
so you're shit out of luck. The only place you're gonna hear it is on the live stream. So, also, make Kong Frong. Am I late? I'm late. Did Ayam blame the Jews yet? No, no. But we are prematurely celebrating Hitler's birthday because that was yesterday. And did Lamprey defend the Jews yet?
You want to hear a great story?
What's that?
This would be it for Jew talking tonight. I'm going to leave it at this. So I sent my grandfather is 82 years old. He's down in Boca Raton, Florida, which is like the Wailing Wall of North America for Jews, old Jews to move to. It's Boca Raton. It's in Florida. A lot of Jews from New York State, when they get past a certain age, they move to Florida. This is a tradition. This happens with all Jews in the United States. They move down to Florida. So my grandfather moves to Florida also because he's old. And he lives in a 55 and older community. He hates everybody, and he's surrounded by Jews. And I send my grandfather like some quote from St. Paul about how Jews are just like the devil of the world or some shit like that. The following day, my dad calls me and he goes, "Come here, I gotta talk to you." I go, "Your grandfather beat the shit out of some Hasidic Jew with a bocce ball, and he got handcuffed for beating up on some Jew.
Oh
Because
God.
the Jew was cheating in the bocce court.
He was cheating at bocce ball?
The Jewish guy, he was playing bocce ball with this Jewish guy,
Yeah.
and my grandfather says, "You're cheating," and obviously the guy he's playing against, he's like, "No, I'm not, oy vey." He goes, "Yeah, you are cheating." So he took the bocce ball and started bashing his skull in with the bocce ball. At
Son of a bitch.
82 years old. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Uh,
Bottom line,
Bocce ball. I've never heard of that.
bottom line was the guy was cheating, and he obviously being a heap, he's like saying, "No, I'm not cheating," and then it goes, "Yeah, you are cheating." "No, I'm not cheating." "Oh yeah," and takes the ball and starts, they're both on the ground. So picture two 80-year-old men rolling around on the ground, both of them overweight, hitting each other. So naturally, my grandfather goes, "This is your fault because you send your grandfather all this crazy shit." I go, "Yeah, probably."
Yeah. Well, in today's age, it's probably on the internet somewhere. If you look hard enough, you'll probably find it. Somebody with a phone probably filmed two 80-year-old guys rolling around. Okay,
When's TFM come?
I got to get real drunk first before TFM will come back. If you guys didn't tune in for last week's debacle, you should go back and listen to it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he likes to
Can you
throw
promise
pieces, that
not
guy.
to do that ever again?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to that level of.
Yeah, I was too excited.
You were acting like a thought. You
Yeah,
were being a thought.
yeah, I was too excited because I was too excited because I had both Sandman and TFM on the same time, and
True.
I was drinking way
Yeah.
too fast, way too fast. It was like I was drinking coffee. Didn't pace myself.
It happens, but yeah, I mean, you got like you said, you got too excited. I understand what happened. It was cool that TFM stuck around to keep trolling you drunk. I thought that was really funny how he just stayed on for another hour, and he's like, "What the fuck? Are you crazy?"
Yeah, it was good. Go back and listen.
And you're just like, you just can't handle the truth. I'm dropping truth bombs on you.
Go back and listen to it if you guys haven't heard it yet. What the heck's going on? Is that Hardy? Are you marching? What the fuck
No.
is that?
The amount of noise coming through your mic right now, Hardy.
Really?
Yeah, there's like.
I'm just sitting here.
Who's banging?
What's that
Is
banging
it a
sound?
Cambodian outside?
Well, there's some banging outside, but it's not very loud. I can barely hear it.
So fucking loud, man.
My microphone must be super sensitive or something. I can barely hear it here, but you guys can hear it very easily somehow. I don't know.
Are you wearing a headset or are you just speaking through?
I'm wearing a headset.
The fuck?
Because if I don't wear a headset, you get feedback or something, right?
Right.
We already figured that out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the banging's a little bit louder now.
How come there's always banging going on where you are, man?
Because this is Cambodia. It's basically like a Chinese ghost city. They're building everywhere. I just went to Diamond Island during the Khmer New Year, and it's basically like a Chinese ghost city. They're building all over the place. The whole country's just one big construction site. I moved out of my old place because they were jackhammering all day long.
Okay.
Here it was nice and quiet here for a while, but now they all last week. Well, for the last couple of weeks, they've been before Khmer New Year. They were building upstairs, and now Khmer New Year's over, so they're building again. But it's not nearly as loud as the old place. It's just a little bit of like hammering. It's not like the old place. They were jackhammering all fucking day. It was just absolutely.
Well, now they got hammers. No more jackhammers, just regular hammers now.
Yeah,
Okay.
just regular hammers.
Okay, well, this is what we're gonna have to do over the course of the stream. If in between times that you're talking, mute your mic.
Sure.
So that way, at least when you're not speaking, we're not getting that pounding coming through. It seems like it's stopped right now, though, which is good.
Yeah, stop right now.
Now the street vendors will come around. Okay, then comes that noise. Okay, then comes the young teenager on a rice rocket speeding down his street to make more noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So regarding what Hardy is stating, we'll talk a little bit about Hardy's situation. The Cambodia is experiencing unbridled growth at the moment in real estate. Chinese are pouring money in developing condominiums. They're unoccupied. There seems to be no real. How do I put this? Let's put it to you this way: if you were to buy a condo in Cambodia, you're basically buying the unit, and the person who developed it is gonna run away from the whole complex. Okay? So eventually, he's just trying to make a quick profit, sell the units, and you're trying to use that as a vehicle to store your cash. And because Cambodia uses U.S. currency, the Chinese view this as a very lucrative opportunity versus them going to the United States, where they'll be subjugated to various taxes and rules and regulations.
Right. No, the Chinese are really taking over Cambodia and other parts of Southeast Asia. Intrusive.
Did you know they built an Arc de Triomphe out on Diamond Island?
Yep. I saw that when they were building it. I was actually a part of building the Toyoko hotel. I supplied the sprinkler and fire suppression equipment to that hotel when it was being developed. So I'm pretty familiar with the development on Diamond Island. So like again, if you were to buy one of these condominiums, a unit, you may buy it for It's actually, the prices are between $300,000 and $400,000 for like a 2-bedroom, which is very, very expensive for a country like for a Southeast Asian country. But because there are no rules, there's no sink fund or common charge, there's no house rules, there's no how do I put this, offering plan. Again, when you buy a condominium, you need to understand what the rules are in case someone above you sets fire to their apartment, or there's a leak upstairs, or if the roof falls apart, or if there's a swimming pool, who maintains the swimming pool. All these type of things you have to have in place as the developer to give to the people who are buying the units. In Asia, they do not have these rules because they have no foresight in thinking. So in the United States and in Europe and obviously civilized countries, we have offering plans. So the person who developed this property gives everyone a set of rules when he leaves. In a country like Cambodia, he's just leaving without giving you any rules to the building. Right. And that's kind of the problem in Asia. So eventually what happens is, and when I was discussing with a real estate agent over there, because I wanted to understand a little bit about what was going on, I asked him, he's telling me about all these nice things that the condominium has. It has hot yoga. It has a sauna room. It has a jacuzzi. And I asked him a very simple question. Who's paying the yoga instructor?
And he said he didn't know.
He had no answer. He just had no fucking answer whatsoever. It's 1,000 square feet. I'm like, that's great, 1,000 square feet. It's $350,000. That's real great. I love hearing all these things. Who's paying the yoga instructor and who's maintaining the pool?
Right.
No answer. So this gives you a bit of an idea on what Asian culture is like. So basically, because Chinese people and Russians and other people from third world shitholes, they see, oh wow, look, nice condominium, good place to keep my money. They pay $350,000 for it. In 2 to 3 years' time, because the whole building's fallen to complete shit, and the lights are off in the hallway, and things are falling apart, breaking.
No maintenance.
No maintenance. Your property's now worth $150,000, then $100,000, then $50,000, and the guy who built the place is laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah. No, I know. I was going to ask you actually, both you and Hardy, if it's common to see unfinished construction in Cambodia, and I guess you kind of already answered my question.
Yes.
Yeah. It was the same in Indonesia as well. There was a lot of unfinished projects, so to speak. And even a project that looks finished on the outside, like you mentioned, it's not necessarily finished on the inside. There's no...
Right, you see walls not painted. You see light fixtures dangling with wires. It's very common.
Yeah. And,
Well, this Arc de Triomphe place that I was just mentioning, like there's your Arc de Triomphe, and then on both sides there's huge apartment complexes built, and there's nobody there. They're not completely finished built. They're just kind of half built. The structure's all there, but there's no finishing work done. But there's nobody to stop you. Like, I could go walk in. I didn't, but I could have just walked in if I wanted to. There was no security, nothing to stop people from going in and doing whatever they want. It's like everybody just left. Now, that could partly be because it was Khmer New Year too, but I think it's like that all the time. You know, there's just no oversight.
right. You what was the purpose of building that Arc de Triomphe?
It's just a decorative. It's like the centerpiece of this residential complex, I guess. So, like I said, there's the Arc de Triomphe, and then on either side of it, there's these. I guess they're about 4 or 5 stories high, but they're really, really long. Like the apartment complexes are like half a kilometer long on either side of this Arc de Triomphe thing.
Weird. So I just want to quickly look at the chat. Red Pill Millennial says hi. Good to see you, buddy. Mei Kong, as usual, is there. Mei Kong says, private security in Cambodia, 15-year-olds with unregistered AK-47s.
Rusted AK-47s.
They backfire or they don't work?
Well, obviously the Chinese have this infatuation with European architecture because they can't think of their own architecture. They can't. They have no ingenuity. They have no imagination. So they just gotta fucking copy everything and ruin shit. That's typical of Chinese people, especially the lower rungs of Chinese people. It's funny. Because I've been working with Chinese immigrants in New York City the last a year and a half now, and I was blown away that the Chinese in Cambodia act nothing like the Chinese in America. I told the people I work with, I'm like, thank God you don't act like them. I'm very happy you're here and you're not like them. And they're like, oh, what do? They spit and smoke and they push people. I go, yeah, that's exactly what they do.
Yeah. Hey, so do you want to go back over those topics you gave me before we get too deep into the expatriate stuff?
Well, before again, we rewinding back to the last episode. Obviously, we all got a little excited that Sandman TFM were back on. They will be back on in the future. Sandman is really cool, and TFM was being a little bit of a princess, but
whatever.
No, comes with the territory when dealing with them. But it was really cool, and I don't know if Ayam got to listen to the last 15-20 minutes of the live stream, but me and TFM had a good conversation on the concept of MGTOW and psychopathy. And it was good. I enjoyed, because honestly, I never listened to TFM before. I know how big he is in the MGTOW community, and I never personally got to ever ask him any questions about some things that I've been questioning about MGTOW. So it's kind of cool that I got to ask him the questions one-on-one, a little bit about what people perceive what MGTOW is and things like that.
Yeah, that's cool. This is cool, man. And the thing is if you spend a lot of time in the MGTOW YouTube community, Rico can't stay. That's okay, buddy.
Drop dead, Rico.
But yeah, if you spend a lot of time in the MGTOW YouTube community, which I've kind of distanced myself from. I mean, doing a once a week stream kind of allows me to be away from it, and I don't listen to too much MGTOW content. So I'm really unfamiliar with a lot of the new guys, which I guess is kind of to my detriment, because we should probably try and get some of those guys on. I know you've been bugging me about it, Lamprey. But there tends to be a lot of drama can occur in it. And if you guys, but if people are interested in that kind of thing, they might also be interested in the one guy you wanted to talk about, Vox Day, and Owen Benjamin, because there's a shitload of drama over there. Wow. If you guys like cringe, go watch those guys.
Oh yeah, that's Owen Benjamin and Vox Day certainly are cringeworthy. I've regarding Owen Benjamin, I subscribed to him about a year ago because he did this whole thing about, again, because I was listening to a lot of YouTube, learning a little bit about YouTube, New World Order and stuff like that.
Hold on, Hardy, mute your mic. That sounds like fucking Darth Vader and is got a hammer. All right. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Lamprey.
All right. So regarding Owen Benjamin, I subscribed to Owen Benjamin a year ago. He did this whole thing about Bono being a New World Order shill and all these other type of things, and I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So I subscribed to him, and I found him to be very I don't know, a little bit all over the place, a little bit ADHD. It was funny, but I could only take them in small bites, like a fucking Hershey Kiss or something like that. I'm like, I can only handle them just a little bit. 3 hours over Owen Benjamin, I can't fucking do. It's just not possible. I started listening to him a little bit, and I unsubscribed. I was like, I'm not really feeling this guy. I don't think he's really anything all that special. And recently, I subscribed to him all over again because he seems to be on the Jew train lately, and he's getting more and more popular. He had E. Michael Jones.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's been making some really good strides in his work. But he started dropping this name Vox Day, and it's a name I've heard often the last, I guess, maybe 3 or 4 years, long before I started doing these live streams with Ayam. I've heard the name Vox Day, but I never bothered. I never bothered researching him. I may have clicked on his videos once or twice, but just his persona, his face, it's kind of a bit of a video killed the radio star kind of a thing. I mean, that's a guy that should have not shown his face. I think it would have been way better not divulging himself. He doxed himself, I guess is what the terminology is. But Owen Benjamin says Vox Day this, Vox Day that, and he keeps going on about this concept about gammas. I'm like, never heard the term gamma. I know beta cuck bitch.
Beta male. That's Jesse Lee Peterson. Beta male.
Right. Beta males. You beta bitch. That's as I like to say, a beta bitch. But yeah, Owen started talking about gammas, and he kept talking about Vox Day and Vox Day's video about gamma males. So I decided to watch Vox's take on gammas, and I found it to be a fucking joke. Like, this guy, I mean, if I'm in a room with this guy, I'm just gonna be laughing at him. Like, this guy, are you kidding me right now? Like, not that I want to say I'm an alpha, but just me looking at him like, oh, get the fuck out of here. This guy talking about how great he is and stuff, man. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, you brought it up to me, this concept of gamma. And honestly, I hadn't really heard it either. But I did hear Owen Benjamin, because I do watch him once in a while too. And I'm like you, I can't. It's very hard to watch an entire live stream of that guy. But, he started mentioning gamma. And I'm like, what the fuck? What is that? So, like you, I also went and listened to it. And one of the things I compared it to, and I think I mentioned this to you, and I think the MGTOW listeners will understand this. And sort of the sense I got from one of the videos you showed me of Vox Day was that he had a category of males. There was like 5 categories. I don't even remember them all. It was like alpha, beta, there's an omega, there's a gamma, and there's one more. But this kind of categorization.
I think there's sigma.
Or is it sigma? Okay. How did you
sigma
see?
male.
Did you see this stuff, John?
I saw somebody's. I can't remember who it was, but there was somebody mentioning Vox Day, and he was saying more or less what Lamprey just said. And he also said, and I wish I could remember who it was. It might have been Owen Benjamin, but it might have been somebody else. But he said that this Vox Day, he classified himself as a sigma male, and a sigma male was like somebody who was like way above everybody else. Like they're like an alpha male, but not like an alpha male. Like they're kind of like an alpha male, but sort of a social outcast alpha male. But he what he was saying about this Vox Day guy is that he was so obviously talking about himself that it was just kind of laughable, right?
Yeah. Rusky says socio-sexual hierarchy is nonsense. Absolutely, it is, Rusky. It's absolute nonsense. And I forgot that's the term he uses that's the title he gives these sort of categorizations of men. Socio-sexual hierarchy. It is nonsense. It's complete and utter nonsense. The guy's been writing too many fantasy novels, right? And that's basically how I saw it when I first heard it. And what it reminded me of, and again, maybe the MGTOW listener is familiar, is kind of like greenhorn MGTOW understanding. Like when you first kind of approach MGTOW and try to understand it and wrap your head around it, or when you're introduced to it, and you're trying to understand what it actually means. I remember those days, and there's sort of a moment in a guy's mind where he's trying to create these categories. He's trying to identify where he is, but that's really not. That's not reality. It doesn't really reflect reality.
Well, what you said, me and Ayam kind of went over this prior going live yesterday. It's basically you putting a sexual market value on another guy.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because there's one thing that you mentioned to me is like a person, if you can categorize, if you take the concept of alpha and you break it down, you say, okay, this is a concept that we witness and perhaps observe in the real world, but it's not a label you can apply on someone that applies to them their whole life, day to day. Like you mentioned to me, Lamprey, how you in your job within a 4-block radius you're an alpha.
Correct.
Right? But then
outside of the 4 blocks, I'm no longer an alpha.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very environmental, and it depends on, your sort of system in sort of a hierarchy of just a social hierarchy changes depending on your environment and what you do for a living and who you associate with, right? So again, that's why that socio-sexual hierarchy is nonsense, like as Rusky said. And the other thing is his definition of it. Vox Day's definition of it? It needs to apply those categories onto men based on sort of their status towards in the eyes of women, which is a concept that fucking MGTOW completely rejects. The idea that a man's worth or value is dependent on how a woman perceives his sexual marketplace value, and that's not
exactly. That's
yeah. Go ahead, John.
A good example to think of to make that clear to people is think of some of the people who have contributed most to modern civilization. Think of a guy, for example, like Albert Einstein. Now, women probably wouldn't give him a second thought if he wasn't, famous. Like when he was young, before he was famous, probably women wanted nothing to do with him. I mean, he looks like a geek. I mean, he just had his picture and his physical being. I mean, he would be at the very low end of the social status scale, but he's one of the people who contributed more to civilization than anybody else, right? So I'm just basically agreeing with what you're saying. Then judging ourselves by how women judge us is the big problem these days, and that's why we're getting such a low quality of political leaders nowadays too. It's because women have most of the votes, and they're voting for all these pretty boys like Justin Trudeau and Barack Obama and guys like that. Whereas, the kind of leaders that we really need are ugly motherfuckers like Winston Churchill and guys like that. Women, Winston Churchill probably, even in time of war, he would probably never get elected nowadays because women don't want to marry. They don't want to elect a guy that looks like a fucking bulldog.
Well, Trump's a handsome man.
Some people say that Ivanka Trump is the real president. What do you guys think about that?
I agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah, man. Could be.
The U.S. also has its first female president, Ivanka Trump.
Yeah, man.
back to this whole concept of
Gamma?
the
Sociosexual, yeah.
hierarchy. Again, you as a man, you don't have a fucking vagina. Who the fuck are you to classify what women are going to fuck and what women aren't going to fuck? You have no idea, and that's part of the we always talk about trying to figure out the biology of women and what do they do. I mean, that's one of the greatest questions is what the fuck is wrong with women. That's one of the greatest questions since the dawn of time is what the fuck is wrong with women. Here's this guy who's saying, I'm a woman. Basically, what Vox Day is doing. I'm a woman, and I'd fuck myself because I'm an alpha. That's out of control.
Sigma.
A Sigma, whatever the fuck. I really don't give a fuck. But it's hysterical.
It is hysterical.
And for this man to come along and say such a thing. Furthermore, you never want to base what a Sigma or Alpha is on what women fuck, because as we know, women are a really bad judge of characters on who's going to impregnate them.
Yes.
This is where patriarchy comes from. This is where the father rears the daughter for her to find the best suitable male. The father never lets the daughter pick under her own volition because she's batshit crazy and she's gonna be getting knocked up by the wrong person. That's where we are today.
Yes.
So for someone like Vox Day, who is very intelligent from what I've read about him, he's a writer. He likes Dungeons and Dragons. He likes Star Wars, like a little fucking a beta bitch, right? Okay, he's got his little dungeon, his Game of Thrones background in his videos.
Yeah.
And it's just comical because to me, what do I classify as an alpha? Is a man who's humble, who's got a pretty sizable war chest, and has become an expert in whatever field he does as a career or a hobby. Yeah. Fishing. If you were in combat, I think war veterans are automatic alphas, ones that serve combat. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, to me, I mean, getting a Medal of Honor. I mean, that's king dog on the hill. How about being for me growing up, I always wanted to be a captain of a Navy vessel. That's pretty fucking alpha. An airline pilot. Mm-hmm. Okay, again, these type of things. These are true alphas. Now, do those guys get laid? I don't know. Maybe they're a little bit like me, where I'd rather talk about the Rothschilds enslaving us all. I mean, I enjoy those topics more than hanging out with a 21-year-old who wants to do Snapchat with her puppy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just me, man. I don't know about you, Ayam. Maybe you want to hang out with a 21-year-old and talk about puppies versus having discussions like the ones we're having right now.
Well,
so someone like Vox Day comes along and says, he and pretty much throwing the general male population underneath the bus, including Owen Benjamin, who's been doing it more and more often, and we're going to get into that in just a second. Yeah. But I just find it quite comical because if you were to see me in person and then look at Vox Day, you would automatically look at me and listen to what the fuck I'm saying compared to Vox Day, and I would probably just take my hand and palm his face and just get the fuck away. Yeah. Just go away.
Well, let me add a couple things. First of all, the stuff that Vox Day talks about, no woman's going to sit down and listen to him. Right? What's he gonna do? Sit down, have a coffee, and start talking about that shit, and then a woman's panties are going to get wet? No, it's not going to happen, right? That's number one. Number two is if you want to kind of have a better understanding of the concept of what alpha means, because a lot of what it means too is earning respect from other men, not just seeking the admiration of women, but earning a deeper respect from other men. If you want a better understanding of that, of what an alpha is, look into sexual marketplace values, SMV. This is old talking point from MGTOW. I've covered it. I've got videos on it. You can go back in my library and look up SMV. TFM's talked about it a lot. We've discussed it together. We've had discussions about it. And basically, if you understand SMV, then you understand that an alpha, the concept of an alpha lies when a man, first of all, understands what sexual marketplace value is and what his sexual marketplace value is as an individual and what sets him apart and puts him on that level. And the sexual marketplace value has to do with at least observable biological fact, not some kind of pseudo-intellectual bullshit. It has to do with real biological background. And the fact that, first of all, with sexual dimorphism and women being weaker than men, which is a biological fact, this creates in us this sort of differences of sexual marketplace value. In other words, women value certain traits in men that men don't value in women. For example, a man doesn't give a shit how much money a woman makes. A woman making a 100K a year does not get a man's dick hard. I'm sorry. That's just not what's attractive to him. So in a woman's sexual marketplace value, what she earns is worth very little compared to, number one, her fertility and her youth. And that's instinctual, right? And that's why there's such a thing as a wall. Once a woman gets to a certain age, she doesn't have any more value to most men, right? And then the opposite is, for a man, the number one sexual marketplace value for a man, and again, this goes back to sexual dimorphism and biology. Because men are physically stronger, they were relied on to protect the women. Further, because women have a uterus and get pregnant, they're useless to the tribe for 9 months at a time. Absolutely useless. And can't do anything without men's protection. So a man's peak sexual marketplace value is his ability to provide and protect, which translates in modern day into dollars and cents. All right, it translates into the thickness of your wallet, and that's what women are number one attracted to. It's a biological fact. It's observable, repeatable, and verifiable, and it's not the pseudo intellectual junk that Vox Day is trying to sell people. And MGTOW men know this already. We've known this a long time. So if you want to know what an alpha male is, in reality, it's a man who understands what his sexual marketplace value is, and he has a beat on it and control on it. Because he earns the respect of not only women, but also other men. It's that simple.
Well, in regards to like my situation, you know, what I was telling Ayam about this 4-block radius in New York City, that I'm an alpha. I didn't want to be the alpha, to be quite honest with you, because all the men I was working with were older than me. But I came along, and it became clear that there was no real leadership. Like, there was a couple of guys trying to strut. Like, there's a lot of chiefs and no Indians. And, you know, I came along, and I was like, all right, we got to do this, that, and the other thing. And slowly but surely, you know, a lot of the guys started asking me, well, what should I do about this? Well, what about this, that, and the other thing? And I'm like, you're about 20 years older than me, and you make double the salary I do, and you're asking me what you should do? And it became quite apparent that they kind of anointed me without really going through the motions as me being the boss. And through my job title and stuff, it came about that way. Because in my position was always a woman. Now that a guy took the position, they saw there was a change of guard, which means now I have to watch over the circus. So basically, when you get appointed that position, you have to start really using it to your advantage. So basically, every time one of my coworkers would do something wrong, or I got a phone call saying that something wasn't fixed, I would always threaten them, like, don't make me leave my fucking office and go take care of your fucking mess. So every time, like, the shareholders that I work with, every time I left the office to go take care of the situation, everyone stands at attention. And when there's always a problem that my coworkers couldn't fix, the shareholders would always ask me, no, I want you to take care of it. No, I want the boss to come and look at the situation. I don't want the workers. Mm-hmm. So, and this brings up a really cool, kind of a cool way of looking at things, is that even though you make less money than your coworkers, you're the one telling them what to do, and people see that as an authoritarian figure. Regardless of the economic stance of these things, women see you giving them orders, therefore you're higher than them regardless of what the paycheck is, right? So if I'm in the office and I'm the one telling them what to do, women see that that's a bit of a turn on. So again, if I have to leave my office to correct a situation, and these people don't really see me that often leaving my office, but they know who I am, they're like, oh wow, look, Lamprey's leaving his office, something's really happening right now. So little things like that I've slowly picked up on. The other thing is that, again, leaving the 4-block radius, I'm back to being a nobody. So when someone like Fox Day says that he's a Sigma, well, where? Again, in your mother's basement you're a Sigma? You mean behind the computer screen you're a fucking Sigma?
Yeah,
that's real fucking great. On YouTube you're a Sigma? That's so... Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo. You try being a Sigma like in a place like New York City. People won't look at you. People will see right through you as an absolute nobody, because guess what? You know who the Sigma is? Well, he lives in a penthouse on Park Avenue and shits fucking diamonds, literally, in $1 billion condominium.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you are a Sigma compared to the billion in look at his house overlooks Central Park, or some hedge fund manager, or again a war veteran, or Donald Trump. I'm sorry, Vox, are you on the same level as Donald fucking J? I'm just asking you. I mean, you're telling me Sigma. I mean, so again, where are you comparing it? What are you comparing yourself to? Right. And getting a little bit into this whole Owen Benjamin thing, he's been on a serious tangent about himself.
Yeah.
That you can do it too. Look at me. I have a, look at my beautiful fucking wife and my beautiful children, my white babies. And,
my wife's a 10. My goats. My wife's a 10.
My goats. And we're going to have chickens. You see this fence? Look at the fence I just put up. That makes me a Sigma right there, putting that fence up. Look at me. I'm a piano player.
Yeah, yeah. You cut
another guy that has to do, again, that's not Sigma, that's not Alpha, because again, the most successful men I know won't even say a word about it. In
They're
fact,
humble.
in New York, they downplay how they are.
Yeah.
They're I don't like talking about it. No, it's really not that big of a deal. The true alphas, where I'm like giving them adulation, attention. I know my calculus teacher, my calculus tutor, in fact, 65 years old, actually that's close to 70 now, 70-year-old, was in Vietnam, 1966, lieutenant, carried a BAR, heavy gunfire, horrible conditions, never wants to talk about it. Commercial salvage diver after the Vietnam War, has a gorgeous house, 20 minutes outside of Manhattan on the water with a huge ass 40-foot boat. It's not that big of a deal. I don't like the boat. I never take it anywhere. Oh, me doing combat with my medals. I don't like talking about it. Those are true alphas. Again, here's Owen Benjamin bragging about his land. Meanwhile, he's in upstate New York, where land is cheaper than water. The economy is in the total fucking toilet in upstate New York. He's living off the fumes of his past in Hollywood, where he's kind of this black sheep of Hollywood, where he has this half-ass YouTube video ranting and raving about Jews, which most people seem to really like these days. And here he is bashing people, really bashing me for wanting to own owning a small house, working in Manhattan, not getting married, not having kids. He's bashing me. I'm like, well, Owen, you know what? Let's trade places. You don't really have that much overhead. You don't. How can you go about and saying these things when all you did was play a piano, crack it, have a couple wise-ass jokes, and then transition to YouTube, where you're just going to be bashing the overriding majority of the population in North America?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is the problem is that for people like that, that becomes their brand, right? That becomes their brand. He had to rebrand himself for YouTube. And when you have that many fucking, what does he get, like 10,000 live listeners at a time? Like some ridiculous amount of people.
Yeah. There's no doubt. It's great. I think awesome. His work is really cool.
Yeah.
But he's not really reinventing the wheel on things. I mean, he's got E. Michael Jones on, and I've been quoting E. Michael Jones before I started doing these live streams at you. Now he's just discovering E. Michael Jones. In fact, that makes me more of an alpha than Owen Benjamin for knowing about E. Michael Jones before he
did. Yeah.
did.
Well, that's
So it's okay. You have a wife, you have a kid. That's great, Owen. I think it's awesome. You know what? You should take it to the next level. Try being a politician. Be a leader instead of you just living upstate New York on a plot of land and you have kids.
Well, okay. Again, this is the point I was trying to make, though, is because okay. So these YouTube guys, and it includes Vox Day, it includes a lot of these guys like TFM. They brand themselves. All right, they brand themselves, and it attracts a certain audience, and then that audience is giving them money. They're making money, man, hand over fist through what do you call it, super chats and donations and whatever, or ad revenue. So they can't leave the brand, and so they'll just continue to do like Voxdale just continue to push this gamma concept or this socio-sexual bullshit because he earned a crowd through that brand, and now he can't leave it. He invented himself into that corner, and he'll always be there. So that's a reality of YouTube, man. It's the absolute reality of YouTube, and these people try.
So you say he's a Sigma on YouTube?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Well, and one more thing I wanted to mention on that gamma thing, and then maybe we can get John's opinion, is that you can tell, another reason you can tell it's bullshit is because in that psychobabble crap of sociosexual hierarchy, he creates for himself a back door so that any criticism of it gets thrown out. And so what he's done is basically said, and I don't know every fine point that he makes about, let's say, for example, gammas. All I know is to him it's the lowest end of the rung in his little male hierarchy. And but what I do remember him saying is that it's these gammas are identified by their actions and their behavior before anything else. And so with that little back door, what he's created is, if you criticize his point of view, and this really just this psychobabble crap, if you criticize it, he goes, oh, see, you're a gamma. So, he creates that sort of Kafka trap. It's a logical
How about just looking at him?
Well, yeah, that's
makes you a fucking that's the conversation ends. You're bald. You're definitely short. You're definitely under 5'8". You're sitting in a wooden chair. Now, I'm not knocking on bald guys. I'm I'm just saying.
Or
But again,
that
tends to be yeah, or short guys.
because
Going
likes to
by
do
your
that.
Ripping on short people, right? Well, again, you have to. Like I said, under 5'8". You have to. If you're under 5, no, maybe not even 5'8". If you're under 5'6", that's pretty fucking short.
Yeah.
But he's definitely short. He's not attractive. He sits in a dark dungeon room, which again, if my intuition serves me right, which means he likes sci-fi, fantasy, fiction, bullshit, Star Trekky, laser beams. Like the nerd at the lunch table. The nerd at the lunch table is Vox Day. That's him. So I think that's really great that he's intelligent. He has he's a good writer. But when you start talking about where you stand on the totem pole as far as women wanting to fuck you, dude, you need to reevaluate yourself and shut the fuck up, because there's plenty of guys that probably listen to you that have bagged more bitches than you and are probably much more successful than you are. So I think it's good. A healthy ego is a great thing.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I tend to stroke my ego once in a blue moon on this stream. But it comes when you stroke your ego and you want to reinforce your position on a certain thing, being an alpha, it comes a point where you just got to tell the other person, shut the fuck up, because this is now you're in my domain, and if you keep going in this domain, there might be blood, or I'm just not talking to you again, or something in that regards. There's a huge feud right now between Brooklyn Monk and my friend Sovereign. There's this constant back and forth, and I occasionally throw you in the emails, AM, just to see what the two of them are thinking about.
Hey, for our listeners, hold on a second. For our listeners, we've had both Sovereign and Brooklyn Monk on the show, so you should be familiar with them.
Right. They're my two best friends. Brooklyn Monk is a 50-year-old intellectual who lives in China, and my friend Sovereign is a loud New Yorker who's very successful. And it becomes this brains over finances. So Antonio likes to position himself as an intellectual who's been to X amount of countries, who speaks all these different languages, and Sovereign likes to say, well, I drive a Cadillac CTSV. I have a water view of the ocean in right outside of Manhattan. I have a beautiful wife and a daughter, and I have my net is over it's a lot of money, probably more than Brooklyn Monk's has at the age of 30. Yeah. So there's a constant kind of like back and forth on who is bigger and who is a bigger alpha male, and both of them raise good points, and they're both alphas in their own. And again, they're both my best friends, and I can see both sides of the argument. But it's just funny how again, this whole concept of ego-driven self-preservation. It's kind of this primordial instinct of a dick swinging context.
But which one of these guys is more popular with the ladies?
Who's more
popular with the ladies?
You know what Sovereign says?
What?
Brooklyn. That's what he said.
You cut out.
You're around on a mat. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay, say it again. Repeat what you said because you cut out. Sovereign says.
He calls Monk a faggot. You're a sodomite. You're not married. You haven't talk about women down on in China with little teenagers, right? And so Brooklyn Monk just flips the fuck out. Who do you think you are and shit? And obviously Sovereign-esque, shut up, I'm gonna my Bitcoin bag on your face, these type of things. So then Brooklyn Monk counters back and sends him pictures of him, paramedic in the Philippines, him with desert in China, and obviously Brooklyn Monk starts ripping on Sovereign's job, which is kind of a boring job, but
Lamprey, you're cutting out. Sam, you're going robot. I'm losing
Let me
you.
try to get a. Hang on. Hold on.
How
about now?
Okay, try now. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. No, anyway, I just wanted to wrap that up. That maybe perhaps having children is a sign of being an alpha. I think that's also something that needs to be, taken into consideration. Is having children a sign of your worth? Passing on your genes.
Well, absolutely.
So be ripping on that on Brooklyn Monk.
Well, that's the thing is I just wanted to say that too is. If you as a man you can survive, get married, have children, and make that work in today's age, that's like the supreme alpha. Give me a break. You can create a successful marriage in today's gynocentric West. Wow, hats off to you if you can do that. Absolutely. Mekong Brooklyn Monk is a cool guy. Isn't Brooklyn Monk like 5'6"? Yeah, he's pretty short. Rusky, stop smoking and go indoors, Lamprey. Mekong Front, I like Brooklyn Monk, but he's a Keynesian, so I can't agree with half the shit he says. All right.
Well, he actually started, in some regards, I actually started ripping on him because he made fun of my job, and he did it in like a subtle way. So I've been kind of like, not mad at him or anything like that. But here, this brings up a good point. I'm digressing here, is that a man at a certain age and doesn't have any children, he has no way of putting himself in a 20-year-old person's shoes or a young man's shoes. Has no way of doing it whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So Brooklyn Monk is 50 now, and he talks to people that could be his children as if they're adults.
Right.
You can't really do that, and it's usually there's a bit of a problem when guys hit a certain age. I'm not saying this about Hardy. I don't consider Hardy in this category because Hardy's 60 years old now, and I don't consider Hardy to be one of these type of people. But the overwhelming majority of men I meet that are past, I'd say 40, 45, 50, that don't have children, have a really bad job at having empathy for younger men, versus someone like my father or you, Ayam, because I can just tell by your demeanor and having conversations with you, you have a much better job and grasp at how to deal with people that are younger than you. And it's not so much having you can't really respect someone younger than you. It's really just not possible to really respect someone younger than you. Can't. I mean, you admire them for what they're doing, but you can't. You can't really. It's just kind of strange and awkward respecting someone that's younger than you. For me, at least. I don't know about you, but
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
It's just like a general awkwardness. Like, oh, good job, boy, go get him, kid. Like that kind of thing. But there's a general. You have to have a certain patience when it comes to dealing with someone younger than you, and for someone like Brooklyn Monk who's 50, he just can't do it at all. He just has no idea how to empathize with someone like 20 plus years younger than him. So that's been a general thing I notice amongst men that are much older without children.
Yeah. Well, we've just hit the 1 hour mark. Why don't we get Hardy? You got anything to add about the concept of gamma and sociosexual caca we were talking about?
I was going to say something about height, and height is probably the single most important thing to women when it comes to selecting a mate. It's extremely important. And you guys were saying, 5'6" is very short. Actually, the average height, at least for Caucasian men, is about 5'9", I believe.
Yeah.
And yet, that's most women probably consider that just borderline, or maybe even on the short side. Most women expect to have a guy who's at least 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And if you Google it, apparently about 14% of the Caucasian population, at least in the United States anyway, or in North America, is 6 foot taller or taller.
Mm-hmm.
So our perception, not just women's, but I think everybody's, because we're so influenced by women these days, I think everybody's perception of what is taller is kind of distorted. I mean, 5'6", yeah, that's on the short side, but it's not. I mean, that's only like 2 or 3 inches shorter than average. Whereas, a guy who's 6'3", you're not going to be, you're not going to think like that guy's bizarrely or freakishly tall. I mean, that's just still considered healthy. Maybe somebody who's 7 feet tall might be considered a freak. But I guess what I'm saying is that our perception of height, just like our perception of lots of things, is largely controlled by women and women's perceptions.
Yeah, and I'd have to disagree with you on one point there, Hardy, is that, I think height does play a part in mate selection for women, but if you're 5'2" and you got $1 billion, she ain't gonna care. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well that's true, but she's gonna. But you gotta make the distinction between whether she's attracted to you or your $1 billion.
Women are always attracted to a man's capacity to provide.
They're attracted to power.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
Power is your ability to provide. Power means that you can. Historically and biologically, it means you were the man who could kill the most mammoth, for example. That's power.
Mm-hmm.
That's power, and it's provision, and that's what they're attracted to the most. So they're not, and that's why in MGTOW circles we understand this. That women don't love the man; they love what he can do.
That's right.
And the other way around, and it's the other way around for men. Men actually love the woman. They actually love her for who she is because it's those traits that attracted him to her, and that's a sexual dynamic that is real, exists, and it's a minefield, especially in today's gynocentric age, that men have to leap through.
But when it comes to the kind of love that is like erotic love or eros, as they call it. I don't know if you guys ever watched TFM's recent video in which he talks about 5 different kinds of love, and there's eros, and there's practos, which is love of money or practical things. There's 5 different types of the type of love that parents have for their children and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But eros, the erotic kind of love, for women, that is probably more closely attached to a man's height than just about anything else. And for men, it's attached to women's physical characteristics, her hourglass shape, the size of her breasts, or buttocks and everything.
It's an attraction. It's an attraction to fertility. That's the biological.
Yes,
yeah, it's an attraction to fertility,
way,
which includes youth, by the way, because an older woman isn't fertile. So a man's main attracting points are fertility, which does include youth. The hell was that? What the hell was that? Are you cleaning out your pipe there, Lamprey?
Sorry, I was smoking a cigarette.
Okay. Hold on. James West is in. Hi, James West. Welcome to the chat. We've been talking about gammas, but I think we're pretty much almost done that. Rusky says most natural-born womanizer I've met were short, and he also says people from Brooklyn have a hard time empathizing. Period, and Farong agrees with him.
There's also a correlation between people's success and their height and their overall looks in general. Mm-hmm. I've heard that said. Oh, one other point about women's fertility, and also there's hair is important for women. And somebody told me that because when during times of bubonic plague and so on, during times of famine or disease or whatever, people lose their hair. And so if a woman has good long hair, that's historically why men like women with long, healthy-looking hair. It's a sign of health.
Hair's a huge one to women. Hair is a huge one to women. Guys with long hair, women like that a lot.
But going back in history, men also like women with long hair because it makes it easier to drag them back to the cave.
I wonder if that's true. Hey, just as a transition, James West says, how should I invest my money, and is the market going to crash soon? Well, here's my advice, James West, as we transition into our next series of topics. Take all your savings, move to Cambodia, spend it all on hookers and blow, and go out with a bang. There you go.
when he means going out with a bang, it means throwing yourself off a skyscraper in Bangkok.
Yes.
I can tell James this: do not come to me for financial advice. You will not. That's my advice.
The Dow.
Cambodia's
God,
a new
I've
spot.
so much money the past year, man. Oh my God, horrible. I made some very poor choices this past. Last year, I was doing so great. No, I'm sorry. 2017 was a great year, and after 2017, when Bitcoin crashed, I lost a good chunk from Bitcoin and a lot of other things I invested in.
Yeah.
If I had to do it all over again, maybe index fund or an ETF.
Have you checked out the dogs of the Dow?
No, because I'm so underwater right now, I don't want to even touch my brokerage account. So I've lost a lot of money the past couple of years, and it seems to just be in regards to the stock market. It seems to just be carrying from the usual suspects, the ones that get nice big tax breaks, ones that are in cahoots with the government. Obviously, as we slide into a neo-feudalistic society, it's just going to be a handful of corporations running the whole fucking globe.
Yeah. Well, as to James' question, I wasn't being serious, obviously, with that answer, but we are transitioning because we want to get back into some more Sexpatriate talk and expatriate talk. But he also says Cambodia is the new spot, and if you weren't in here earlier, we were discussing a little bit. Cambodia is not what it used to be, and so is everywhere in Southeast Asia. I mean, as a vacation spot, it's fine, but I think the three of us might all agree to say that it's not a good idea to expatriatize yourself over to Southeast Asia nowadays. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Hardy, since you're still there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting harder and harder to find women for entertainment. For example, bar girls are getting fewer and less attractive, and more expensive, and it's just finding female entertainment is just getting very, very difficult nowadays. I think Thailand. Yeah, I mean, I know Lamprey was recently in Thailand. I think Thailand is still king, no matter how much, even though people might put it down. It's a much maligned place, but I think Pattaya is still king when it comes to even though it's very expensive. I think Thailand is still the go-to place if you want straightforward entertainment from females. Cambodia has definitely gone downhill.
I can honestly say Thailand was an absolute disappointment this time around. I was very disappointed with the stock of women. It was all single moms and ladyboys, and it was yeah. I mean, look,
I don't know, by the judging by the picture that you sent me, Lamprey, I think you didn't do too fucking bad.
I did do well. Yes, I did find one that was very attractive and treated me very well. But it actually took a lot of work to find one that was half decent.
In Cambodia?
This was in Thailand.
Oh,
I found one that was pretty cool to be with and stuff. But it was what's happening is that because of the feminism in the West, you have now a glut of foreign men pouring into this region to find a nice little Thai or Khmer honey to shack up with, to impregnate, to sponsor, be somewhat of a sponsor to these women, Hardy used to always joke. He says there's probably more attractive Cambodian women outside of Cambodia than there are inside of Cambodia at this juncture.
Okay.
Right, Hardy?
Yeah, because everybody's finding a bar girl to marry and then taking her back to their home country. That seems to be the thing to do.
that can't end well, man. That can't end well.
No, that's what's happening. It's 100%. That's 100% true. What he's
and it's not
stating.
just Westerners. The Chinese are in there now too. So
yeah. Well, good luck to them. Good luck to them all.
Yeah. So when you've got all the Westerners coming here taking the women, you got the Chinese coming here taking the women, you got the Koreans. Everybody's coming here to get women.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I was looking at an article that you sent me, Lamprey, and it didn't sound too good about marrying a Cambodian woman.
Yeah, please pull it up for everyone, and we'll go through the talking points on why you should not marry a Cambodian woman.
Okay, so I got this article up. I'll share the screen with the listeners. The title of it. Who's the publisher? Gavin Mack is the author. I'm not sure of the publisher, but anyway, this guy.
Oh, that's from Khmer 440.
Oh, is it Khmer 440? Is that?
Yeah.
That's. Oh, yeah, right there. I see it. Khmer 440. So this is a Cambodian website, expatriate, I guess, English website. Anyway, the title is 7 Reasons Why I Probably Shouldn't Marry a Cambodian Woman. And I'm sure you could apply this to a lot of other different Southeast Asian countries, but let me just share the screen here with everybody. There it is. All right. 7 Reasons Why I Probably Shouldn't Marry a Cambodian Woman by Gavin Mack. And again, this is the Khmer440.com, all about Cambodia. I'll just kind of read through the intro, and then we'll discuss the talking points. He says, if you read my previous article, 7 Reasons Why I Should Probably Marry a Cambodian Woman, which we don't have that one, you may think that I am well on my way to donning a pair of purple MC Hammer pants and walking down the aisle with a young Cambodian bride. And I imagine he's talking to the bridal or the groom's attire when they get married there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's yeah. I went through that in Indonesia when I got married, man. I had to put on a fucking whole costume, a very uncomfortable costume, and sit in it for fucking 4 hours. It's horrible. Anyway, after further consideration, I realized that there are 7 equally compelling reasons why I should not marry a Cambodian woman. Here they are. Hey, Hardy, I can hear that banging again. Okay. Anyway, the first one, and then I'll mention the first one, read the first paragraph, and then you guys can chime in. Number one, I have no idea where we would live. When a Westerner marries a Cambodian woman, the couple has a very important initial decision to make. Should he move to Cambodia or should he move to his country? And I'll stop it there because I've got experience with this, and that's kind of what we were just talking about. Your take, Hardy, go. You can unmute now.
Yeah, well, I'm not married, so I've never tried to take a girl either live with a girl here or back in Canada, so I can't really say much about that.
But do you know people that have? I mean, if this is happening.
No, I mean, I know of people who have, but I'll be honest, I'm not really much of a socialite here in Cambodia. I'm a little bit reclusive. I kind of keep myself here. I go to work. I know a couple of coworkers. Well, I know one coworker in particular who's married and has a wife and kids here. I don't think he has thought about taking them back to his home country, which is also Canada. But,
is he happy living in Cambodia with her?
Not really. I mean, he's an English teacher, so he's pretty poor. He lives in a really, really small place. I haven't seen it, but he's told me about it. He says he wants to own a guitar, but his place is so small. He says he can't even have it. He doesn't even have a room for a guitar. Now, I'm not sure if he's joking. Like, how small does a place have to be that you don't have?
Hold on. Are you talking about Nam?
No, this is another guy, a Canadian guy.
Well, we can talk about our friend Nam, who's been married to a Khmer honey for well over 10 years. His life is miserable, man. He's got to keep relocating, keep trying to hustle, trying to figure out ways to make money, make ends meet for him and his family. And as an expatriate, that's very difficult because the jobs offered to expatriates in a country like very limited. So if you start burning bridges in Cambodia, you burn bridges, you can't go back.
Yeah.
And because there's only a limited amount of jobs you can get inside Cambodia, you kind of run out of options very, very quick.
And that's
one story.
That's the same with it. I was just going to add that that's pretty much the same anywhere in Southeast Asia. Is unless you have certain very specific skill sets, you're absolutely right. Eventually, you might burn bridges, and the job market just dries up based on what you have the ability to do. Anyway, you still there?
Right, yeah, I can't imagine trying to raise a family, a wife and kids on an English teacher's salary. That's just unthinkable to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be very difficult. I mean, it depends. I mean, the last teaching job I had, the last teaching contract I had in Indonesia was fantastic. I was making really good money. I would have been able to, but unfortunately, I wasn't married anymore.
I know one guy who has 5 children in Cambodia. They have they own a like a, I wouldn't call it a condo, but they have an apartment inside the town center, the city center, and he has to sell drugs on the side, and he basically has to spit and glue his way every day on how he's going to feed his kids and take care of his 5 children. Jesus. Luckily, the house they have is paid off, so basically what he's got to pay for now is food and electricity. which is actually for him, because he's not an English teacher, and he kind of associates himself with derelicts. It's very, very difficult for him to make ends meet. So it was being, and that's honestly what I was considering when I had my Khmer girlfriend. I go, if I marry her and have children, what's my life going to be like 5-10 years from now? I could wind up dead.
Yes.
Pretty much dead. Bottomed out. This is going back to the Phnom Penh slide.
Yep.
You having a kid with a bar girl and staying in Cambodia. You're on the downward slope at this point.
Well, here's
on the slide.
Here's the point the guy makes. He says, I don't think I'd be happy living in Cambodia. The type of work I do can't easily be done in Cambodia. I'm too lazy to start a new career, so if I lived in Cambodia, I would essentially be semi-retired and living off savings without anything else to do. I'd undoubtedly become an alcoholic. And there's your Phnom Penh slide.
Yep. Keep reading it.
And he says, my wife, having never seen me work, wouldn't respect me and would think I was making up stuff about once having a respectable job. Assuming that my wife is not working, we would spend a lot of time sitting in our Cambodian home staring at each other. That would get awkward. I would quickly start fabricating excuses to leave the house for no reason. She might then accuse me of having an affair, and I would have to say, no, honey, I don't have a girlfriend. I was just wandering the sweltery, filthy streets of Phnom Penh to get away from you for a few hours. Not good. And then he says, bringing my Cambodian wife to America would be even worse idea. At least in Cambodia, we would have friends, family, and a whole life outside of interacting with me. If I moved her to America, she would have none of these things. She'd end up sitting in my suburban house alone all day while I work. She'd have no one to interact with other than me. There's no public transport near my house. Well, there's probably a bus stop within walking distance, but no one rides the bus in America except creepy bus people. And so, I mean, those are the two different perspectives. And this is one of the reasons why he wouldn't do that. And again, this applies to any Southeast Asian country. If you marry, do you stay there, or do you come back to your home country? And where, and again, with the trade-offs. I mean, for me, I don't know. I guess for you, John, it's good you're not married, because for me, after being expatriatized for so long, coming back to Canada, it was a very, very difficult thing to do. You kind of have to start from zero.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious things like finding employment, finding an apartment, and everything. Although I guess Alberta, the economy is a little bit better.
Yeah, it's all right. But anyway, let's move on to number 2. He says, I don't want the stigma of marrying an Asian woman. As I previously mentioned, the stigma of being 40 years old and never married is quite bad. The stigma of being 40 and suddenly married to a 22-year-old Southeast Asian woman could be worse. Sure, my coworkers would stop thinking he must be gay. Instead, they would think, what a schmuck, and that poor, poor girl. I wonder what sick things he does to her at home. That's a little hyperbolic, but, I mean, I can see his point of view. And he does go into also mixed race couples, noticeable age different. People might stare. Some people might assume I married my Mexican cleaning lady.
Hey, well, you know what? Going by what's happening in the West at this point, all bets are off. I mean, if sodomy is lauded as a virtue, it's quite funny how even men, the one taboo that's left that the left will never let go is an older guy with a young woman. That's still not allowed. That's still, you can shove anything you want up your ass at this point. But hey, if you're 50 and you're married to a 30-year-old, well, you're just a creep.
Yeah, that's a horrible taboo, and I don't agree with it either. I mean, I think. If you look on average, most men are older than their wives or girlfriends, and there's a reason for that too. Again, that goes back to sexual marketplace value, where younger women are fertile, and older men tend to have a little bit more power and money. It's that simple.
But the other thing about 40-year-old guy, for example, taking his 20-year-old Asian wife back to America or wherever, and people thinking he's a creep and everything. But these guys who think he's a creep, they're probably also going to be very envious. And I think that this creates a problem not just for the 40-year-old guy with the 20-year-old wife, but it creates a problem for all of us in Asia here. This is what's contributing to this avalanche of guys coming to Southeast Asia looking for wives, because you see what I mean. These very guys that think he's a pervert, a creep. They're probably envious, and they're probably going to come over and try to find their own 20-year-old Asian wife too.
Yeah, and we can get into the stigma too of sort of the sex trade over there. I've got an article that we can get into that later too, and just like sex tourism, I got a few articles open for that. But yeah, again, like God, when I got back to Canada, I got nothing but harassed by one of my younger brothers, who I don't even talk to anymore because of it. Just going, well, you were in Asia because you're looking for children, and it was just fucking horrible, man.
God, what a dick! Your own brother said that to you?
Yeah, man,
what
absolutely. I don't talk to him anymore. Yeah. I don't talk to him.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
Beta male. He's a beta
I'd
male.
probably punch someone if they said that
I
to
did
me.
punch him. I did punch him.
My friend who I moved to Cambodia with when he came back to the States for Christmas, they pulled him off the line at the airport and put him in a room and questioned him for 2 hours if he was a pedophile or not.
Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, the real pedophiles, like the Clintons, are fucking shipping them by the dozen from Haiti. It's unbelievable, man.
Pedophile Island, Jeffrey Epstein,
Yeah,
Pedophile
man.
Island, that scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's why they're focusing so much on Southeast Asia and Cambodia. They want to deflect attention away from, guys like Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton and so on.
Yeah, and the fucking beta male plebs just fucking swallow that blue pill so quickly. And that's why when my brother mentioned it, I did punch him, actually, Lamprey. I punched him twice in the face. I was like, fuck
Nice.
you.
Good on you.
Yeah, man.
Good.
And
Did he go and visit you? How about that as a question?
yeah, absolutely, he did not. He never even communicated with me.
Right. So he deserves a punch in the face then.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the next point of this article. Why you shouldn't marry a Cambodian woman. Actually, I stopped sharing. I'm going to share again because there's a picture here that I want them to see. Cambodian women don't age well. Every year, people buy hundreds of thousands of puppies. They enjoy their cute puppy antics for a while, and the puppies become unattractive, smelly, loud, annoying dogs. Young Cambodian women are a lot like puppies. When they're in their late teens and early 20s, they are exceptionally cute. They're fun and playful, and then always act excited to see you. Sometimes they pee on your foot.
It's true.
What? What is that? Some kind of cultural?
They are excited to see you. It is fun to be with them.
But after age 30, these cute young Cambodian women quickly turn into cackling, wrinkled, pajama-wearing, betel-chewing Medusas. You see very few well-preserved middle-aged Cambodian women. The woman in the photo above is only 43. I find that very hard to believe, but there it is. Jesus Christ. So what's your take on that, then?
It's true. Asian women do not age well, man. They don't. I would actually. They're probably at the bottom rung as far as what race and ethnicity age the best as far as women go, and they are definitely the worst of the worst.
Well, the thing I've noticed about, I don't know, I guess you can't really lump Asian women from each country together in the sense of their aging, but man, I've seen a lot of older Indonesian women in their 40s that look fucking good, man. Like,
no,
really
I
good.
can't say the same for Cambodians.
Really?
Vietnamese or Thai or Chinese. Maybe Japanese.
Koreans too, man. Korean women, they age pretty good. But this is okay. But this is
Korean women. You're right about Korean women. Korean women do age well. You're right.
But here's the thing, though, too, is a lot of the way that I've seen it is they age really, really well, even into their late 30s, early 40s. But when there's a certain age where they hit, and suddenly it's like overnight they become haggard. Really bizarre. It's like it's like they age very, very slowly to a certain age, and then they hit, late 40s, 50, and bang, they just.
Well, there's that cartoon that was making the rounds of how Asian women age, and it's pretty funny. It's kind of like what you just described. They hit a certain age where they just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah, that's right. Not Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was fucking the one with Sean Connery when the guy drank from the wrong fucking cup.
You do that one. Last Crusade.
The Last Crusade. Yeah, that's how Asian women age, man. Very bizarre.
Black women age the best.
Yeah, that's true. They do. Yeah. Okay, and here's another point. Point number 4. I'm gonna stop sharing again. Okay.
No, keep sharing. I want to read it. Yeah.
Oh, you're reading? Okay, no problem.
Yeah, let the people read along.
Okay. Number four, I don't want a half motodop baby. You're going to have to explain what a motodop is, but let me just quickly read the first paragraph. Hear me out on this. I don't like motodops. They are slow-witted, annoying, directionally challenged imbeciles. It's not their fault. Most motodops are the genetic product of a poor, uneducated Cambodian father and a poor, uneducated Cambodian mother. We all know the theory about the Cambodian gene pool being weakened by Pol Pot, killing all the smart people. Motodops are the primary evidence supporting that theory. So what the heck's a motodop?
Hardy, you want to explain?
Yeah, go ahead.
Motodop is just a motorcycle taxi driver, which you don't actually see too many of them around anymore. They're being displaced by these new tuk-tuks that they have. Tuk-tuks are just, little three-wheelers. There's been an evolution, like way back in the day. There was no public transportation. They even have buses now, but way back in the day, if you didn't have your own motorcycle, you basically had to hire a motorcycle taxi. You just, flag the guy down, or he'll come and hassle you.
Okay,
and you just get on the back of the motorcycle.
I know what that is. In Indonesia, they call them ojek. Yeah, and
in Thailand they call them motorcycle wing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what that is. So,
but anyways, those started being replaced by these tuk-tuks, which are like a motorcycle that pulls this buggy trailer thing behind it. And now those are being replaced by these little Indian-style tuk-tuks, which are little three-wheeler. They kind of look like a battery box.
Yeah, I know what those are. Yeah, they got those in.
So anyway, if you put it into perspective, so motodop is this burnt, sun-beaten, middle-aged, uneducated Khmer man with a really dirty, sweat-stained shirt, and you sit on the back of his.
Then he drives you around.
Shit moto, and he drives you around. My personal motodop. I would give him. I made the mistake. I gave him his salary in advance, and he just got drunk. That's it. So he had to pick me up at a certain time from work. And I call him like, where are you? Oh, I'm drunk. And I'm like, oh, no. So he would send his buddy to come and grab me. Where is he? And he knew what time to pick me up. He knew when I had to leave for work, and he used to sleep in the back of a tuk-tuk of his buddies at my street corner. And I go, come on, I have to hit him to wake him up. I gotta go to work. And he opened his eyes. His eyes are just bloodshot red, and it's like lunchtime. And I'm like, you're fucking drunk already, and it's not even 12 o'clock, man. You are a mess. So that's basically what a motodop is.
Yeah,
and the motodops often have lower knowledge of the city's geography than your average backpacker.
Right.
Like, they can't even get that straight. They can't even get directions right. Which way are we going? He's pointing back. Train, Batsaram. I'm like, dude, you don't even know your own fucking city. You're supposed to be a taxi driver.
I suppose in that sense, Indonesia was better for the ojek or the motodop because they're all Muslims and they don't drink. So they're always in condition to pick you up.
They're fucking drunk. In fact, one motodop me and my buddies used to joke around with, he had only one eye. And we're like, yo, we're not taking the one-eyed motodop.
One-eyed motodop. A drunk one-eyed motodop.
He's drunk and one-eyed. And we used to crack jokes like, yo, that's the worst motodop ever. Don't take him. Then there'd be other motodops with missing hands and missing feet.
Oh, no.
What's even beneath the motodop though, Hardy, is the Ciclo. Ciclo!
Oh. What does he do?
Yeah, you still see a few of those guys around.
Ciclo! Do you know what a Ciclo is?
No, what is it?
Hardy, please tell him what
it's actually a pedal bike, but it's got like the seat in front.
Oh yeah.
They
got those in Indo. I know exactly what they are. There's a different name for them, but they got those in Indo.
But there's still a few around here.
Worst.
They used to be more popular in the past, but now there's only certain neighborhoods in Jakarta you'll find them, and if you go to Jogja, all over Jogja, which is it's a smaller kind of university tourist city, there's lots of them. They're everywhere.
The older people love them when it's just a quick 3 or 4 block move around.
Yeah.
The elderly seem to like it because it's easy to, you just basically sit down and someone pushes you along.
Yeah.
But the Ciclo driver is just so. It is just that has got to be one of the worst. I mean, if we believe in karma, what the fuck did you do in your past life to wind up being a Ciclo driver in Phnom Penh, man?
And those guys are all super old too. I don't think I've seen one that's like less than 70 years old.
They look like King Tut, how skinny and crispy and burnt they are from the sun.
They look like they're mummified. Yeah.
They're mummified, bro.
Oh yeah, if they're out in the sun all day their entire life, Jesus.
No.
You know, getting back to the article, the reason he brings this up now that I have an understanding what a MGTOW is that he's using that as an example of like this is going to be part of his child. His child's.
Well, yeah, you have my baby, a descendant of Pol Pot. How do you think that's going to work out? 80% of my people in the United States are on welfare.
Yeah, wow.
80% of Cambodians in the United States welfare. That's what that's what you're going to have a child with.
Mm. Yeah, well, this guy's making the argument that obviously this is a good reason not to, because you don't want to have, you don't want to put that into the gene pool, your own gene pool. But the thing is it depends. Like my kid right now, he's half Indo. He's a pretty mixed breed, but he's very intelligent. He's very intelligent. He gets
well, that's
honors.
because his mom's not around. He's being raised by a man who's disciplined.
Maybe. But I understand what this guy is saying, definitely. Let me read one more paragraph. The guy says, I don't want kids at all, whether genetically disadvantaged or otherwise. I don't like being around kids for more than 10 minutes. I can stand them just long enough to do my Bill Cosby type routine where I interview them and ask them dumb questions. How old are you, kid? 5? Do you have a job? I had a job when I was 4. Then I laugh hysterically. So yeah, that's reason number 4, not to marry a Cambodian woman. Let's move on to 5. Share the screen again. The paperwork sounds like a real hassle. Marrying a Cambodian woman apparently involves a lot of paperwork. You have to go to the Sangkat. I don't even know what a Sangkat is.
The local street cop.
Okay.
Sangkat means like district.
District. Just hamlet area.
Okay. Yeah. I know what those are. They have those. They have those in most Southeast Asian cities. It's sort of like the head of the area. You need documentary proof that you're single, proof that you make $2,500 per month, proof that you're not a criminal, proof that you don't have AIDS. Then you need to get this stuff translated. I think the wife needs to get some kind of family book and has to have papers stamped in her village. I've heard that dowries may have to be negotiated and bribes have to be paid. Yeah, man, there is a lot of paperwork involved when I got married in Indo. And in fact, actually, because the marriage and divorce goes through the religious courts, it's actually easier to get a divorce through the Muslim religious courts. But yeah, I understand that. And I don't know if you talked to anybody there that's gone through it.
Very difficult. It's not worth it.
Mm-mm.
I don't know anybody, but I've read.
Want to go through with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the catch. Here's the catch to what this guy's saying about this part. Because in the last thing he says, on the other hand, if I find an American woman I fancy, I could marry her at a classy downtown Las Vegas wedding chapel in about 2 hours. But here's the thing. In the West, it's easy to get married, but divorce is a fucking nightmare. Right? It's the trap. It's the trap's easy to get into, but fucking difficult to get out of. I'm not saying it's difficult
to make it the other way around.
It is the other way around in Indo. Absolutely, it's the other way around. It's a process to get married, but getting divorced is much easier. And of course, that's because it's Muslim too. Actually, if you're a Christian or if you're a Protestant or a Catholic in Indo, they consider divorce a sin or unholy. So you can't. God, I feel sorry for those people. But here in the West, it's. I'm not saying it's difficult to get a divorce, because with no-fault divorce, women are just getting divorced anytime they feel like it now in the West. I mean, in the West, what is it? 70%, statistically, around 70% of divorces are instigated by women, and the other 30%. that men are involved, most of those men that are applying for that divorce are doing it because their wife wants one, but for whatever reason refuses to go and apply. So it's more like, statistically, in North America, 90% of divorces are instigated by women. Now, with those odds, what kind of man would be insane enough to get married? And that, because it's so easy for women to do it. You don't need a reason. Done. You know, in Indo, there had to be a reason. You know what? My wife couldn't just leave me because she felt like it, and because that's exactly what happened. I walked into the divorce court, told them, and they said, "Yeah, here you go. Custody's yours. You're divorced." Bang. And I didn't owe her anything, nothing. So yeah. So even though, you know, I'm not trying to advocate to go get married in fucking Cambodia, but I'm just saying, you don't really want to do it here either. Anyway, number 6, a Cambodian wife would embarrass me in public. All right. Do you remember the phrase you went through between the ages of 13 and 17 when you were embarrassed to be seen in public with your parents? When you would cringe whenever they opened their mouths in front of your friends? Yeah, I actually never outgrew that. I'm easily embarrassed by the slightest social faux pas committed by myself or my companions. Now, one of the entertaining aspects of hanging out with young Cambodian women is that they can be spontaneous, carefree, and naive, and you never know what funny thing they're going to say next. I would absolutely hate those qualities in a wife, though. I already have enough social anxiety without worrying about my wife saying something ridiculous in public at any moment. I'm afraid that if I married a Cambodian woman, I could turn into an obnoxious husband who's constantly shushing my wife because I'm afraid what she might suddenly ask the waitress whether potatoes come from the ocean. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I know number of horror stories. My best friend brought his girlfriend to some type of hoity-toity dinner engagement, and she chewed with her mouth open. She was burping, and she was scratching her ass in front of some dignitaries.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
My girlfriend never. Thank God she knew how to handle herself in public.
Right.
But one time, and I love telling this story. We were having a great time. She knew how to entertain guests. She spoke English very well, and she was holding down conversations with fairly intelligent Westerners. And then at one point, a group of people asked her, "What do you think about the Vietnamese?" And she said, "I think kill good, kill, yes." And she's looking around for acknowledgement. Like we can all agree killing Vietnamese is a good idea, correct?
I said, great, yeah, good opinion, absolutely. By
Yes,
George.
yeah, I think kill good, yeah, good,
Kill good.
yeah,
Amazing.
kill good, yeah, that's what she said, yeah.
Let me quickly go to the comments. We've had a few since we've been going over the article. Red Pill Millennial says, and I think this is referring to Asian women, they hit the wall all at once. Yes, indeed. Steve H is in. I have no interest in going to Southeast Asia, but it's an interesting conversation you're all having. AWOLT gentlemen. All women are like that. I wouldn't say never go. Shit, man. Take 3 weeks holiday. Go to Southeast Asia. Definitely.
Yeah, I've been thinking about if I had, originally I had the option. It's either I went to Cambodia, moved to Cambodia, or moved to Brazil. I chose Cambodia over Brazil. Right. I'm glad I did that. I found it to just be safer, and
right.
I don't know. There are other countries I want to check out, but yeah, I mean, Asia was neat. Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia. It's cool. And what's nice about Cambodia is that you're within an hour's distance by plane to another country.
Yes, that's a beautiful thing about Southeast Asia.
To Vietnam.
Yeah,
everything's really close.
Yeah, man, that's a great thing about Southeast Asia. I mean, me living in Jakarta for so long, it's 30 minutes to Singapore, Malaysia, KL, Thailand. It's all close. It's all really close. It's an adventure, definitely. So I'm not advocating you expatriatize yourself, but definitely go visit. For sure.
Don't pull a Vention.
Vention fucking tripped out. That's so weird though, man. Like I've never heard of anybody doing that before. Ever.
2 days. 2 days. He ran back to America.
Bizarre. Really
Well,
bizarre.
did he go to Thailand? Did he spend any time in Thailand before going to Cambodia?
No, he went straight to Phnom Penh.
Yeah, that's a mistake. If you're gonna go to Cambodia, you should, Thailand is what's it called? A decompression chamber from the West. It's kind of like like a vestibule before going on to the, you know what I mean, right?
But
It's kind of like a halfway house
He even
before
had
going to Cambodia.
he had a connection there too, man. He was connected with Luke. You know,
Right.
he met Luke there. It's not like he went there and he knew nobody. You know what I mean? I've traveled a lot, and one of the ways I found one of the ways I enjoyed traveling is as I'd travel, I'd meet people from other countries, and then later when they went back to their countries, I would go to that country and have a connection there. You know, so you sort of have like a meeting point. You don't go in completely blind, and it helps. You know, and he had a guy there. Like I've never heard of that before. 2 days. Christ.
Hit the like button, guys. What the fuck? Come on. Pound that thought button.
Pound the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. You know who we're missing today? Is Warrior. Where did
It's Easter. I
Oh,
wasn't expecting any people
Oh yeah,
to listen in tonight.
yeah. Happy Easter, everybody that celebrates. And as I mentioned before, yesterday was Hitler's birthday. So if you're celebrating that, good for you. I know Mekong Farong will be happy that we mentioned that. I wanted to get just do a couple more comments, and then we'll go back to the article. Mekong Farong, the Muslims in southern Thailand, ethnic Malay, don't double price. They 5 times everything for foreigners. Southern Thailand is still my favorite place in Southeast Asia, worth the 5 times pricing. You guys ever been there? South Thailand?
Nope. Only been Trat in Bangkok. I didn't really. Which is Thailand's really big. But bother. Hardy's been in Thailand way more times than I have. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Phuket was my first Thailand experience. That was back in 1994. I was just absolutely in heaven. I mean, that was my first Southeast Asia experience. It was my first Thailand experience, and it was just heaven on earth back then.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's largely perception too, because people who had been in Phuket for years before me were talking about how it had all gone downhill and how it was all such a piece of shit now compared to what it used to be, you know. So, I'm sitting here saying how bad Cambodia is, but if somebody comes here from the West, they might be in heaven, just like I was in heaven when I first went to Phuket. But Phuket was such a nice little island, even though I had never been there before in my life. As I was sitting in the minivan going down the hill towards Patong Beach, and I could see all the, advertisements for the go-go bars and stuff like that. Somehow, even though I'd never been there before, I kind of felt like I was home somehow. Like a home that I had never been to, and yet it was a place that I felt like, I belonged. It was just a weird feeling, but it was just so nice.
You saw Asian titties and you felt like you were at home?
Yeah. I felt like
I'm home.
Because, I was 36 years old, or 35 or 36, but at no time in my life had I ever felt like we want you to have a good time. Like, I mean, we being the authorities, the people in charge, or the powers that be, or whatever. I had never experienced that somebody in power, somebody who's running the place, actually wants me to be happy and have a good time. I mean, that was just such an unusual feeling. It was just so different.
Yeah.
It can't even explain it really. There was that, plus the fact that it was physically a very beautiful place at the time. It was less developed than it is now. It was a tropical jungle and clean beaches, and it was Phuket. I mean, it's still nice to some extent, I suppose. But, it's kind of like, it wasn't as nice as Bali. Bali is like a really, really nice place, but it was certainly nicer than Sihanoukville beaches. It was nice. It was very nice, and I went there every year for the subsequent 4 years. So I went there in 1995, 96, and 97. And each subsequent year, it got worse and worse. More tourists, more expensive, more destruction of the environment, more roads, more concrete. It just got worse every year. When I first went there, and I went there during low season, and low season was great because there was very, very few tourists. I would go to Patong Beach, and I would go through the go-go bars, and and bar beers, and there'd be like hundreds and hundreds of beautiful women, in the bar beers and the go-go bars, and I had them all to myself. I mean, I had the whole fucking place to myself. Just, I mean, not totally to myself, but it certainly seemed like that. I mean, I could sit in a go-go bar and there'd be like maybe 2 other tourists in there, and like 30 or 40 girls. There were actually some go-go bars that actually specialized. They were a little bit more expensive, but they had like nothing but, every female there was at least a 9, I mean, it was just unfucking believable.
Now, this was in your early experiences of being in Thailand, correct?
Yes, 1994.
94. Now, do you think that the lack of other tourists in the bars you went to were based on the choices of the bars you went to, the time of year or night, or what do you think it was?
It was low season. That had a lot to do with it. And plus, the place just hadn't yet been really discovered by as many tourists, too.
Right. Okay. I see. And I bet you the prices were really good back then if you wanted female entertainment.
Yeah, I think bar fines were like 300 baht. Mind you, the baht was about 25 to the dollar back then. So, the bar fines were about 300 baht, and the girl in the go-go bar would ask like 1,000 baht for all night. And back then, all night meant like 24 hours. Like the girl would spend, an entire 24-hour period with you. So what's 1,300 divided by 25? That was like, about $30 or something like that. And, and even back then I was probably, back then even guys who had been there for some time were complaining about how expensive it was,
Yeah.
But, and the bar beers, they were cheaper. I think the bar fine was like, 200 baht, and then the girl would ask for 500 baht or something like that. And again, that was for all night, so I would pay like 800 baht, and divided by 25, that was like about $32 or something like that.
Right.
And I took this one girl, I had her for the whole week, and she would spend like 24 hours with me. And so you would just go back to the bar beer every day, like every evening at about 7 or 8 o'clock. I would pay the bar fine, and then we'd spend another 24 hours together.
Right. So you're basically paying for food and drinks too, right?
Yeah, but those were so cheap back then too. This is back in the days when if you bought a girl, you wanted to buy her a little gift, you buy her like a $5 watch or something like that, and she would be just absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
She would be just thrilled by that, or a pair of $5 shoes or something. Then guys came over and started buying them motorcycles. Then guys came over and started buying them phones. Then guys came over and started buying them villas. I'll build you a villa for you and your family out in the countryside.
Yeah, you caught it at a very unique time. In comparison, the first time I went to Indonesia was 2002, and like you, when the first experience of sort of walking into a bar somewhere in either Jakarta or Jogja or Bali or Surabaya, you notice that, wow, there's a lot of attractive women here. But like you, the prices changed. In the first year I went there, you could go into certain nightclubs at certain times during the week, and you could pull 3 women at once out of there and pay maybe $65 for all of them.
Wow.
And that's for an evening, or half an evening. So but I'll tell you, those days are long gone there, man. Much more expensive.
That was in Jakarta?
That was in Jakarta, yeah.
What kind of venue?
There was an area not far from where I lived in South Jakarta, which was sort of a kind of a strip of bars. I can't remember the name. Jalan Fatihan, I think. Jalan Filatihan, that's it. Jalan Filatihan. That's anybody that's been to Jakarta will know that place. I don't know how it's changed, obviously, because as I got older and ended up married and getting a decent job, I kind of stopped that scene. But at the time, Filatihan was a well-known South Jakarta strip, which was full of bars. There was Korean bars, there was karaoke, Japanese bars, everything. Pretty much any kind of venue you wanted. If you wanted to play a game of pool, if you wanted to go dancing, it was all there. So, and there was a lot of, obviously it was a hot spot for chicks because, like everywhere else in Southeast Asia, they want to try and make a buck by some foreigner who's willing to pay for them. So, but obviously it's not, I couldn't do that. You can't do that today. I mean, if you tried to do the same, you'd be paying like, God, I don't even know how much more than that. Probably hundreds of dollars now.
Yeah.
Yeah, a combination of the fucking feminazis plus too many tourists coming here.
Yeah.
It's money. It's just capital flight leaving the West.
Yeah, more money coming from the West over there, so they can raise their prices, man.
Well, the same thing's true of tourism in general. Tourism tends to be a victim of its own success.
Right.
The reason tourists like to go to a place is because, whether it be, sex tourism or if it's, just going to nice beaches or whatever, the reason people like it is because all the other tourists haven't discovered it yet. As soon as all the other tourists discover it, then it's not fun anymore.
Yes, yeah, very true. Very true.
Well, you have to also put this into perspective. Is because of globalization, the lack of wars, and obviously with the monetary policies and free trade.
Well, I'm sure
tourism. There wasn't tourism like this 20, 30 years ago because most countries you couldn't even get a visa for.
Yeah.
The Cold War. In World War II and the Cold War. And this whole concept of sustainable tourism and tourism as a whole is all a fairly new phenomenon. It's only been around for the past since the millennia.
Yeah,
pretty much. Since
well, I'm sure that a lot of places in the Middle East tourism isn't booming very much right now.
And Africa.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to Libya. Yay! No, nobody's going to Libya. Nobody's going to Syria.
Why don't you keep going down that?
Okay, I got one more on the list there. Hold on. Let me share this.
How many were?
It's the last one.
How many reasons were there?
7. I think this is the last.
Okay,
this
cool.
is the last one. Share screen. 7. I would always wonder if she really loved me. I might initially be fairly happy with a beautiful young Cambodian wife, even if I knew that part of the reason why she married me was for financial security. I don't have a problem with that right now. I'm okay with her not loving me in the Western sense. But over the years, the problem with this guy, he keeps thinking that the Western sense is better. Like, does he honestly believe women here marry you because they fucking actually love you? Jesus. Anyway, but over the years, I think feeling of resentment would eat away at me. I would wonder if she would have preferred to marry a Cambodian guy her own age had the economic situation been equal. My insecurities would probably just get worse as I got older and closer to death, with the awareness that my younger wife might only be sticking around for her pending windfall inheritance at the very least. Well, all I have to say to that is that he's not going to find it any different here. So,
not today.
Yeah, I mean,
but I understand what he means by that because I honestly had no idea. Does this woman actually like me or not? Because, and I mentioned this when I had the interview with Molyneux. I honestly should play that back because I don't remember if I actually said this or not. One day I was coming home and I was just in such a good mood. I knew she was cooking me lunch and stuff. And I was just so happy to go back home and be with her and spend an hour or so during my lunch break to be with her. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was playing a song. I played her a Coldplay song actually called "A Message," and it's a really nice song off the X and Y album. And I was like, when I listen to this song, I actually think about you. She had no idea what I was talking about. She had no clue.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. And I listen to this song, I think of our relationship relationship. It's just maybe just because the song was just I was playing that song a lot at that time, and every time I played it, I somewhat thought of the relationship, and again I was in a good place. I was really happy. I was probably the happiest time of my life, and so I decided to show her the song. I go, what well, what do you think of this song? What do you think? No idea.
She just kind of cocked her head like a dog.
It cocked her head like a dog. Correct. So
Well,
I understand what he means by number 7.
as Turd Flinging Monkey says, love is just a bunch of chemicals in our brain, right? And it can be, he believes that it can be replicated by, fucking Michelin tires, right?
By what?
Well, his sex doll, TFM and his sex doll, right?
Oh yeah.
But he's I'm not.
Well, you have to
What's
understand.
that?
Yeah, what was
I'm
it?
sorry, but responding to Ruski, the parachutes.
Coldplay is gay.
Or Russian Blood to the Head and X and Y are really good. Yeah, they are pretty fucking.
Yeah,
gay.
Ruski's right.
I will
Coldplay
say
is
that,
gay.
that after X and Y, it was terrible. Just
Yeah.
the first 3.
Okay, I wanted to respond to what John said about how TFM said love is chemical reactions in the brain. I'm not going to say I disagree with that, but when he says it's reproducible with a doll, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with that either because I wouldn't really know. But you have to remember that's his brand. He has to push those dolls. That's his living. So of course he's going to say that. He's a salesman. So that's one thing you got to kind of understand about his opinion on those things. I mean, maybe he's correct to a certain degree. I don't know, but he's got to say that, man, because he's a salesman. That's his brand.
Yeah. Do you think those dolls might? Do you think maybe he doesn't even have? Maybe he doesn't even fuck the dolls. Maybe he's just saying that just so he can sell them.
I have no idea. I mean, I don't want to accuse the guy of being a crooked salesman.
We have no idea.
But I mean,
He wouldn't even tell us where he's from. So.
yeah, I don't want to accuse him of being a crooked salesman, but he's just being a salesman. If you're gonna sell, if you're selling a product, you have to sell it. And if you're gonna promote it, you're gonna say, oh yeah, you can love it just like a real woman, guaranteed. Slaps the hood. You can fit so much love into this one. He's a salesman, man. You have to, right? It's a brand. So,
Fine. Both Sandman and TFM seem to be really hell bent on the whole sex stuff thing.
well, if you can make money at it, it's a living, right? Again, it's a brand, and again, that's just kind of quickly going back to the earlier part of the talk when I mentioned that with Benjamin and Vox Day, their face is their brand and their ideology is their brand, and that's what because those guys make a lot of fucking money off of YouTube. People like TFM, he makes money directly from sex dolls. He's sponsored, man. So obviously, anything he says about them, you got to take it with a grain of salt. As okay, well, he could be right. But it is his brand, and he's a salesman, man. I'm sorry, but that's
But
just
getting
the way
back
it
to
is.
that,
We're
point
on
number
this
7.
channel, by the way.
What? Nick? Lamprey? What did you say?
I said we're not for sale here.
Right. What were you going to say, John? You got interrupted?
Oh, point number 7 there of that list, and then Lamprey's little anecdote about that Coldplay song and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're sometimes, we have to remind ourselves sometimes just how much love can be unreciprocated like that, and I think that it is true that love is to some extent just chemicals in our brain, and I think we over-exaggerate and how much of it is a true connection between two people. I think it's very rare that you have a real connection between two people. I think it's often more of a one-way street than we like to admit.
Well, it has been romanticized a lot, and I think in today's age we've lost the point.
Looking past the person's faults, that you're just so blinded by the faults of the individual. That's what I come to realize what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I think it's the concept of love is very romanticized in the West. And again, if we're talking about relationship between a man and a woman, we're talking about historically a coming together to reproduce and have a family. That's really historically what it is. And in today's culture, we live in a hookup culture, for God's sake. I mean, and we want to replace that hookup. A lot of men now want to replace that hookup culture with a doll. I mean, we're completely in my experience and my observation in the West. Not only have we romanticized love, but we've completely become oversexed. We're obsessed. We're a sex obsessed culture. And it shows, man. I mean, in the past, and it's still in a lot of cultures today. Culturally speaking, the coming together of a man and woman was to actually share resources, create a strong family as a foundation for a strong society. We don't have that anymore, man.
So that's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Dead.
Yeah, that's dead, man. The thing is you gotta understand that we're living in a culture now that I don't think you can. It's almost pessimistic to say it, but it's really hard to imagine reversing the damage that the neo-Marxists have done to our culture, man. You know, in any sense, it'll take a long time if it can be reversed. But anyway, Mekong Farang says the worst STD of all, feelings. All right, guys. Well, we're at the top of we've just finished the second hour, bottom of the second hour. Do you want to take a quick 5-minute break?
Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll break out the other articles.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm sorry I haven't changed the funny ads yet. Never get around to that. But I'll just play those in the background while you wait. Just give us 3 minutes, 5 at tops, and we'll be right back, guys. See you in a bit.
Hello, comrade. John Johnson here. Former citizen of the USSR. Communism for you Americans. Are you tired of the leftist media and TV programs? Need a laugh? Check out Slaughterhouse Cartoons. They are shamelessly making fun of everything. Women, men, any and all things. We at Slaughterhouse Cartoons also believe in the democratic process. So if you are a verified subscriber on YouTube, you have 1 vote per person, up or down, in comments per cartoon. To keep it or dump it. We are also on Minds, BeatShoot, Twitter, Gab AI, Steemit, and all under the same name. If you like crude, rude, and everything else, check out Slaughterhouse Cartoons. You will not be disappointed. Goodbye.
At the law firm of DeLeo and Furex, we understand that sometimes life throws you a curveball. We help our blue-chip clients get their lives back after circumstances have conspired against them. Just listen.
It was an unfortunate accident what happened to my wife on that precarious cliff. DeLeo and Furex can't bring my wife back, but they made sure I didn't end up in the slammer.
I was unfortunate enough to be found with 15 kilos in my spare tire. I was so mad at the auto repair shop that sold me that tire. Thanks to DeLeo and Furex, the district attorney saw it that way too.
I accidentally torched a Quickie Mart when my medication ran out. DeLeo and Furex helped me and the community by ensuring a healthy settlement from the pharmaceutical company.
At DeLeo and Furex, we understand the judicial system and will ensure the truth is heard, no matter how improbable. We're not cheap, but what price can you put on truth? Call DeLeo and Furex today at 866-974-2333. That's 866-9-SHADY. DeLeo and Furex. Accidents happen, and we'll prove it.
The store leading the fight against communism is having a blowout sale. Ammunition has a wide array of peacemakers. Come by Ammunition on Militia Mondays, exercise your Second Amendment rights, and get 10% off all armor-piercing bullets. We're the only gun store that lets you try it before you buy it. Need anti-tank missiles? We've got them. Flamethrowers? Oh, yeah. No credit? No problem. No money down. 90 days, same as cash. Shoot now, pay later. During the 10-minute waiting period, fire off a few rounds at the ammunition gun range, featuring faces of famous commie pinkos. Come by Ammunition and register to win an anti-aircraft gun actually used when we whooped Australia's ass. This weekend is the Ammunition Film Festival with 3 screenings of the documentary Red Dawn. Ammunition, protecting your rights.
What makes a real American? A cowboy hat, enjoying a fine T-bone steak, going to a baseball game, shooting a gun. Maybe it's the freedom to go into a poor country and tell them how to do things. Heh, those are all great qualities. But one thing that makes a true patriot is the ability to choose an American car. When you buy an import, you take a hot meal off a hard-working American's table. There. This poor girl is going to starve to death just because you bought a cheaper, more efficient Maibatsu. Without gross symbols of excess, what will Americans have to look up to? Our great industries are threatened. Cars, pornography, armaments, and they need your help. So the next time you buy a car, a piece of adult literature, or a missile defense system, make sure you do the American thing.
Lock up your daughters. Shoot your sons.
Dad!
Because Love Fist is coming to town. The world tour that has been banned throughout the world comes to Vice City. The monsters of rock and roll excess. Love Fist. Get ready for a night of death metal love ballads that'll have you shoving your fists in the air. It's the Steel Heart Stone Cold Prostate Tour, brought to you by Giggle Cream, because dessert should be funny, and the Maibatsu Thunder, because after you get struck by lightning, there's thunder. Come see the pounding rock from the band that brought you hits like Chin Stainer, Liver Buster, and Dangerous Man, Dead Family. Come get Love Fisted. Love Fist at the Vice City Arena. Brought to you by V-Rock.
How do you like to enjoy a Rusty Brown's ring donut?
I like to lick lovingly around the outside and then thrust my tongue in the middle.
I like to munch it vigorously.
I just love the batter all over my face.
On Friday nights, I just can't stop eating Rusty Brown's ring donuts.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Sometimes I like to wear women's panties and walk around 5th Street.
When you go downtown, make sure you enjoy Rusty Brown's ring donuts.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Robar, entrepreneur, VIP, and founder of the revolutionary program, Think Your Way to Success. It's a 3-step program that's been changing lives and my income for the last 2 years. 5 years ago, I was a nobody, just like you. After my Think Your Way to Success program, I spend the entire weekend in my jacuzzi or engaging in the exciting sport of domino toppling. Hey, if you can think it, you can do it. One of my award-winning courses is sure to be perfect for you. The first course I call Think, Hold That Thought, Complete, because that's what you do. Step 2 is known as Learn, Start, Doing, where I explain the mysteries of starting. Or take the new accelerated course that will have you laughing and hugging strangers. Motivate, demonstrate, then motivate again. Just listen to these endorsements, and remember, these people volunteered. They aren't being paid much.
I've been on the Think, Hold That Thought Complete program, and I have to say, I'm finally going to start my career in being a well-paid rich person.
Yeah, I've been thinking my way to success for a while now. It's some good stuff.
Call now and sign up for my Think Your Way to Success program. And if you want to think really fast, try my Crank It Out program. Call 1-866-434-SELF. Hey, don't just do it. Think about it.
Sweaty leather tracksuit? Absurdly fat Dayglow laces? Something missing? Complete the look with a replica car sign insignia on a chunky gold plate chain at Vice City's one-stop shop for people who know how to put the hip into hip-hop.
Wow, you look fresh.
Complete the look.
Okay, we're back, guys. Thanks for waiting. Just had to top up my Indonesian coffee. Staying off the booze tonight. don't want another fiasco. Mekong Frangs.
Dumpster fire.
What's that?
Everyone was calling it a dumpster fire.
A dumpster fire, yeah. The last fucking 30 minutes or whatever. The worst. Mekong Frangs says the worst STD of all feelings. Yeah, man.
If you saw my girlfriend's tits, you'd be like, yeah. 3-day rule? No, more like 3-year rule.
What was your 3-day rule?
He's saying 3-day rule. You gotta just fuck him and dump him.
Oh,
I think that's what he's referring to.
Well, it depends on how much money you have. Really?
Like I said, she didn't ask for much, man. That was kind of the. I'm like, wow, this girl's tits are just fucking amazing on this tight little body, and she's hanging around me, working part-time as an English teacher. I just got off the boat and she was just hanging around. I'm like, all right, well, that was it, man. The rest is history.
Nice.
You know.
Okay, let me just check with everybody. As usual, the live stream page is bugging out, so I just want to make sure everybody's still listening. It says 16 watching. Can you guys still hear us? Stream is still running. Just give a quick yes if it is. It seems to be, but for some reason the live stream page kind of bugs out every once in a while. And I heard Owen Benjamin talking about that. Actually, happens to him too. Yeah, Steve H. Yep. Rusky.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
We're
cool.
All right.
Ouroboros is in. Good to see you. Pat Phoenix
All
is
right.
in.
Moving on.
Okay.
Round 2, guys. What do we got for you? Ayam, break out some articles.
All right. So here's the other one that we wanted to go over. There's a couple more we want to go over before I finish tonight, guys. And again, remember that the theme of the show today is sexpatriatism. But we kind of need Hardy to comment on this. Where the heck is he? He's not back. He's taking a dump. But anyway, we'll just get started on the article. So this is a Vice article, and Vice is known to be shit, but this article is good. It says the Walkabout is Cambodia's sleaziest bar. Actually, let me share the screen with the listeners. Okay. The Walkabout is Cambodia's sleaziest bar. Now, you said Hardy knows about this, so we'll get his opinion when he...
Oh, Hardy frequented there quite often, yes.
Okay. So the headline, the Walkabout is Cambodia's sleaziest bar, but their weekly gambling competition attracts everyone from meth heads to expat teachers. And there's a couple pictures there if you guys want to take a look at it. The author goes on to write, I'm in one of the most disgusting freelancer bars in Cambodia. It's like low tide, my Eton-educated companion snidely observes. Gazing out at the flotsam and jetsam of Phnom Penh's expat scene, I'm forced to agree. In one corner, a white guy in a string vest and short shorts crammed hard into his crotch works his jaw as if he's gearing up for Cumbrian Gurning Championship, which I have no idea what it is, but I'm kind of assuming he's saying he's probably on ecstasy. As we wait for our drinks, an ancient man in a wheelchair, clearly invigorated by Cambodia's easy access to Cialis, is wheeled into the bar by a rough 40-something looking girl in red denim hot pants. Smack dab in the middle of Phnom Penh's busy nightclub area, Walkabout is a bar and hotel that really doesn't have much going for it, other than the fact it's open 24 hours and is the preferred hangout for dozens of the city's methamphetamine-ravaged prostitutes. So meth is pretty big there, right?
Yes. Talking about I mentioned this in a previous live stream. Meth exploded onto the scene in Cambodia about 15 years ago when Thailand initiated the death penalty for people peddling meth. So when that was initiated in Thailand, all both drug addicts and the sellers moved over into Cambodia, where they got the Khmais hooked onto it.
Okay, because I know when I first went to Indo, meth was almost unheard of. It was there, but you just didn't find it unless you were in that scene, I suppose. But as the years went on, I noticed that it started becoming more and more popular. And the next thing you know, I meet an Italian guy who's fucking doing it all the time, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where did this come from?
Was his name Lamprey Milt?
No. He was from Italy. I can't remember the fucking guy's name. He was dating a girl that was friends with this girl I was dating. So that's how I met him.
Yeah, a lot of the expats wind up doing meth over there. It's very popular. I knew so many of them. It's really sad. Again, going back to the Phnom Penh slide, I knew two guys that just started doing meth, and they just kind of just fell apart, and they didn't seem to realize how bad this situation was for them. You know, people observed how bad it was, but they didn't seem to realize that they had a problem.
Just on a side note too, my experience with meth in Indo was very minute and short-lived. I knew, like I said, I knew this Italian guy, and one day we were over at this. It's a regular kind of cafe bar we used to go to. It was really low key. A friend of mine bought it. He owned it. This American dude, and it was nice. Like you could take your family there in the daytime, and at night it was pretty tame. You know, a lot of people playing pool and listening to music and drinking and stuff. It was really nice, off the wall little place. No bar girls. So I used to hang out there quite a bit in my later years in Indo, and I got invited to go. This Italian guy was living in a koskosan, which is just a room to rent, which was within walking distance of this cafe. And he goes, "Hey, come over to my place. Come over to my place." And so he went there with this other Indo guy who I knew, Indonesian guy, and they were doing meth. And they're like, "Hey, come and do some meth with us." I'm like, "Oh fuck, I don't know, man. Okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll try one, pull." And so,
how was it?
Okay, so this is what happened. He goes, so they burn it on a piece of tinfoil.
Ayam's finally sharing some fucking decadent stories. It's about time, man.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't shared too many. So,
yeah, do it.
So anyway, he's like, "Yeah, just have a pull and you'll see what it's like." Because I had no idea what it was like. I'd never done it before, but these guys obviously loved it, and I didn't know much about it. So they burn it on a piece of tinfoil, and you get a straw and you follow the smoke along the tinfoil. Anyway, so I take this long hit off of this, and then I sit there and I'm waiting, and I felt nothing. Like nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. And so the guy, I go, that's great, man, but I don't feel anything. And I kind of wanted to get back to the cafe, and shoot some pool and have some drinks. And he's like, and I'm like, I don't feel anything. And so then they both go to me, "Oh yeah, take one more and you'll be awake for 3 days." I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want to be awake for 3 fucking days, man. Screw that. So I left. I'm like, I'm not fucking smoking any more of that. I don't understand, like, who
Let's see now. Fucking gamma bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Who the fuck wants to stay up for 3 days, man?
Yeah, from what I understand, you wind up staying up for an extended period. The guy I was working with was always on it, and one of my last jobs in Cambodia, I was running like this telephone operation. Like it was people. We had all these Americans working in this empty condominium where we have rows and rows of computers and telephones. And two of the guys that I looked after, they were on meth, so they were able to make the phone calls at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and still be completely wired and awake. And then they would just sleep all day and then wake up for work at night. So yeah, I'm quite familiar with it.
Yeah. Well, getting back to the article, Steve H says Walkabout sounds like the kind of bar an expat Aussie would start. Maybe.
Well, Walkabout at the ground level, it's a really nice wraparound bar, and there's pool tables, and there's a bunch of tables and chairs and stuff. And then above, that's the lobby level, and above it was all these guest houses, these rooms for rent, for long stays and short stays. And it was like 3 or 4, it was not 3 floors up, 3 levels, and there had to been at least 25 to 35 rooms if I reckon. And at the top floor there was a pool. Eventually, while I was living there, they completely sealed off the top half, the 3 floors of the pool, because so many people were dying upstairs.
Jesus Christ.
So like I said, no one can stay here anymore. here's the bar, here's the pool tables, here's a couple drinks. That's the end of it. You can't go upstairs anymore.
Well, let me continue with the articles. It does mention that. It says, other than the fact it's open 24 hours and is the preferred hangout, 24-hour bar, Jesus, no wonder.
Yep.
The preferred hangout for dozens of the city's methamphetamine-ravaged prostitutes, or as Cambodians euphemistically call them, taxi girls, and the sex pests who love them. Every year, a few tourists are found dead in rooms upstairs at the walkabout.
Oh, there you go.
Usually, guys.
Oh, you guys are on that walkabout article now?
Yes. Have you read it?
Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to keep reading here. Usually guys with needle marks in their arms or pensioners who've saved up and come to Cambodia for one last Viagra-fueled fuck frenzy with a couple of apathetic prostitutes climaxing in a fatal heart attack. They can't afford to do autopsies in Cambodia, so that's all technically conjecture, but I'm sure it's pretty accurate. Now, this article mentions upstairs, but you're saying it's not. Yeah, this is 2012, man, this article.
Oh, yeah. So while I was there, I think there's like maybe 3-4 years later, they sealed off the top half and said that's the end of it. No more.
But did you see her picture? This Lena Goldstone or whatever her name is?
Who? The one that's writing the article?
The author of the article that I read anyway. It's the one Lamprey sent me. Her name's Lena Goldstone. But Google her picture. She's fucking ugly.
She's an expatriate woman from the West.
Yeah.
Most are. Most of them.
So the reason why I wanted to share this article is because Hardy, she's
a Berg. Sorry, she's Goldberg. She's a Jew, man. What do you know?
Oh, it's Goldberg. I thought it was Gold something.
Goldberg, man.
God damn it.
And anyway, what were you saying? What were you saying, Nick? Sorry to interrupt you. Or Lamprey.
No, it ruined everything for me now.
Oh shit, man.
Oh god. Bergen and invading, I'm ruining all your good times
in Cambodia.
Even in
but that article, at one point in the article, she's talking about aging hookers, and she talks about some 40-year-old hooker wheeling some guy in a wheelchair. And then in the very same article, she's talking about teenage hookers. So is she trying to say that the hookers are underage or overage? You know, it shows how these people they contradict themselves even in the same article.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. I did take a girl home from Walkabout one time. Oh, she was so hot. Oh my god, that was awesome.
Was she on meth?
No, she literally just got into Phnom Penh from the countryside. Literally just got it like fresh off the boat out of the countryside.
Fresh off the wagon.
Yeah, she was gorgeous. She had no idea what she was doing. She was all new to this and stuff. Wow, that's really taking me back, man. So the reason why I pulled this article up is because Hardy used to frequent this place quite often. In fact, Hardy's got a Walkabout T-shirt. Correct?
Yes. Yeah, I got two.
You got two.
So Hardy, I wanted to talk a little bit about Walkabout and the place that I personally used to enjoy, which was Martini.
Yes.
So please share a little bit of the background on. I mean, this article was very accurate describing Walkabout, but describe a little bit your best times at Walkabout, your worst times at Walkabout, and get a little bit into what Martini Lounge was like.
Well, Walkabout, I think that article was kind of accurate, although it was kind of overstates a lot of things. Let's say it's not inaccurate, but she overstates it.
Well, she's a Jewish woman. What did you expect?
Yeah. But also, as I just pointed out, she talks. I mean, Walkabout. If you ask anybody who used to go to the Walkabout, it was not known for the youth of its clientele, not its clientele, but its hookers. The hookers were at the Walkabout were not known for their youth. Put it that way.
Right.
Now, I'm sure, as Lamprey just said, you can get lucky. You can find a very attractive woman there. Back in the old days, you certainly could anyway. But the idea that there were teenage hookers in there, I mean, that's just complete shit. And this Goldstone broad, she's typical
Goldberg
reporter. She's Goldberg. They've always got, if they talk about hookers in Cambodia, it's just It's just de rigueur. It's just obligatory that you throw in the word teenage or underage or something somehow. You've always got to do that. I mean, that's just like, you know how these libtards are, these social justice warrior types. They have a narrative, and everybody who reports has to throw this certain things into their narrative. And you know, the underage thing is something they just, if you're going to write about.
What happened? Hello?
You know,
We lost them.
Necessary. That's just what you're. Hello?
Yeah, we lost you for a second there, buddy.
Oh, is it okay now?
Yep. Sound good?
My phone was ringing. That might have had something to do with it.
Oh, okay.
Because right now, because fucking Digi, their fiber optic to the home isn't working, I'm having to go through my phone as a hotspot. So my phone started ringing. That probably disrupted something. But anyway, now Martinis is a really sad story. That used to be a really fantastic place. It was kind of similar to the Walkabout, except the quality of the girls was a little bit better, and there was more. It had a little disco in it. It was a lot of fun. But around 2015, 2016, more and more Chinese started invading the place, and there was fewer and fewer females, and the ones that were there, a lot of them started to just refuse to even go with Westerners. They would only go with Chinese. And I think the place just went downhill every month. It was degrading and getting worse right up until about, I think it finally actually, they shut their doors in 2016, I guess it was. Late 2016 or early 2017, I guess they jacked the rent up on him, so he just decided to close his doors. But it died kind of a slow, painful death. It was really sad because, you know, Martinis used to be like the center of my universe for several years. You know, I moved to Phnom Penh from Sihanoukville in 2010, and from 2010 up, and you know, for several years after that, Martinis was basically the center of my universe. I would go there frequently and have a great time, and you know, just started. It was like watching a good friend die of cancer. You know, the way it just got worse and worse every year, and you know, more and more high-rolling Chinese, and you know, the girls started demanding huge amounts of money. I remember sitting there with one of my regulars who had recently jacked her price up. She started charging me $30 instead of the usual $20. She was a Vietnamese girl, and she was pretty cool. You know, she was willing to help me. She not only didn't mind if I went with other girls, she would actually introduce me to other girls. But she was introduced. I was showed interest in this other Vietnamese girl who wasn't even that good looking. She wasn't as attractive as my friend, and I asked her, my friend that is my regular, if she could, because my Vietnamese, I can speak Khmer, but I can't really speak Vietnamese. But I asked her to try to find out for me how much this girl would go with me for, and I said. I told her I could pay her $30, and this other girl just laughed. I mean, she wouldn't even consider going for $30, and she wasn't even as attractive as my regular.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, speaking about, are you still there? Did you drop out? Are you still?
Yes.
Okay. Rusky's made some comments. Some people made comments about the article and the lady who wrote it, saying she probably owns Walkabout's competition. Sounds like the defamation about a perfectly fine establishment to me. To be honest, the article, for the most part, is pretty objective. But you're right, and you mentioned this too, Hardy, is they have to throw in the underage prostitutes. But I think you have to understand, okay, first of all, the author is a Jewish woman who writes for Vice, which means she's probably 100% a neo-Marxist. And one of the things that they completely always have to do, and this was mentioned earlier in the stream, is they have to defame Western men, especially Western men that go to Asia. They have to shame them, especially women, especially the Western women. They have to shame them with the idea that, oh, you're just going there for young women. They do it all the time, you know. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit after this article, because we do have one pulled up.
Well, listen. In regards to the martinis and Hardy's leaving some things out, it was a really cool place. It was outdoor. I don't know if Hardy mentioned it was an outdoor movie theater, and there was low lighting, and there was a bar, and they served food, and it was a really cool place. I really enjoyed it. And then there was like a club. There was a club part to it, but it was
Hello, we lost you.
a movie. You can get pictures of beers, and there was hello.
You're back.
I can hear you now.
Hello.
Yeah, you're back. You all right? Lamprey?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. I'm here.
Okay.
You're really quiet.
We're having a little bit of connection.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Lamprey. Continue.
I'm sorry. Just make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes. Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, you're bringing back some memories with.
So it was an outdoor
movie
theater, which. Yeah, it was an outdoor movie theater, and it was really nice. It was outside. There was tables. You can have drinks. You can have food, and there was tables with there was women at other tables, and they would wink at you, and you'd kind of like call them over, and they would sit next to you. You'd start watching a movie together. It was really nice, but it was also very dangerous, and it was one of the most dangerous places to go look for women because it was a Vietnamese establishment, and it was a popular place for women to drug foreigners and to steal their money, and I remember that being quite common where the foreigners would get drugged, some would get killed, and they would wake up in the hospital with an IV hooked up to them and with no money. That was quite prevalent.
When did that start happening?
That always took place, man.
Well, I must have been pretty lucky then, because from 2010 right up until the place closed, I used to go there regularly, and I never had any problems. Maybe I'm just really lucky or something. Where did you hear these stories?
My friend who lived there just as long as you. And also you have to understand is that a lot of those Vietnamese bar girls, these freelancers, they had no working papers. They were illegal immigrants from Vietnam working in Phnom Penh, which is a huge no-no if you're illegal Vietnamese in the capital of Cambodia. So these women that you'd wind up sleeping with were criminals in their home countries in Vietnam, and they fled to Cambodia.
All right.
Mind you, I was always very careful, just as a matter of habit. I mean, I would never. When I brought the girl back, I didn't spend much. Like a lot of these guys would bring the girl back as kind of like a. A lot of these guys, they would treat her like a semi-girlfriend. They wouldn't just, like have sex and then send her back to the bar. They would, keep her around for a long time, in which case then she'd have an opportunity to put something in a drink or something like that. I was always very careful. I would always, I'd always hide my money, and I would, do this and do that. I took precautions, and I spent very little time with the girl. So maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't eat them out, is what he's saying. He didn't eat out the...
Is that how they ended up in the hospital with IVs?
Yeah, right.
Jesus. But I doubt, that those kind of scenarios aren't the norm. They're not the norm, but they do happen. And
I don't remember hearing that many stories out of martinis like that. Guys getting drugged and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's always stories of the very popular, the world popular 24-hour bar in Jakarta was Stadium, and it doesn't exist anymore. And honestly, if a person has never been there, I'm sorry, I just can't. Trying to explain it just doesn't do it justice. It
sounds cool.
It was fucking incredible, absolutely incredible. It was 5 stories. All right, 5-story bar. On each level was a different bar. It never closed. It closed on Monday to clean. That's it. And it was open 24 hours. And it was just man, I don't even. It's so hard to describe, but it's anything you want is there. Any kind of live music you want to do, listen to the DJs on the main floor in the big dance room, which was full of like demonic symbology, and the waitresses handing out, not handing out, but they had ecstasy. You could buy it right from the waitresses. It was just a hub of corruption and drugs and prostitution. Unbelievable place. And there were times people kind of disappeared into the darkness of the bar, or bad things. I think in the time period where I used to go, not frequently but kind of semi-regularly, it was a long trip downtown, and it was, it wasn't cheap. It was a lot of money, so it wasn't something I did a lot, but occasionally would go there. And I think I lost 3 phones within a month, just stolen right out of my pocket. Yeah. So it's you got to be careful, man. Like one of my friends who used to frequent it, he got this necklace with a pouch on it, and he used to tuck it into his shirt, and he'd put his wallet and phone in there. Otherwise you'll lose your wallet or your phone. And these people, all these people on ecstasy, taking ecstasy, and you're kind of out of your mind in a crowded, loud disco. It's not safe. But I'll tell you, the place was insane, and it now has been shut down, unfortunately.
But at Martini's, I don't remember ever feeling any real sense of danger when I was in there. And the place is reasonably.
You're outside, and there's Vietnamese women that are smoking cigarettes. That doesn't sound like a really all that, compared to, bar girls or whatever. Yeah, it was definitely a more seedy location. I mean, it's one tier above Walkabout.
It was semi-outside. It had there was different parts to it. I mean, the disco was completely inside. But the main part, as soon as you come through the front door, it was like it had walls, but it was open. The ceiling there was no ceiling, there was no roof, there was just walls around you. You could look up and see the sky.
Well, first, Hardy, there's the midget guy outside asking for money.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
Hello, sir, hello, give me money, hello. He's like, get the fuck away from me, little midget dude.
Hey, Mekong Frong's giving out some good advice. I always ask to see her visa before I pay her. Don't want her taking jobs away from the Khmer hookers.
Here you go. Now you think like Trump.
Rusky says stadium sounds like fun. It was a fucking experience, man. Unbelievable. That place was unfucking believable. Nowhere on earth have I ever experienced anything like that before. It is a shame that it's gone. Maybe it'll revive one day. Who knows? And the irony of Stadium was right behind it was one of the biggest international masjids or mosques in all of Southeast Asia. Right behind it, just a short jaunt down the alley.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, you want me to continue that article, or?
Yeah, we'll keep reading it. Let's see. We'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to read this one. Where was it? Where was that?
This is the Walkabout article?
Yeah, it's a Walkabout. I'm just trying to find this. 24 hours Cambodians. Very good field fuckfest, I read. Despite my propensity of slumming, this is the author, I'd probably never go to Walkabout if it weren't for one thing. The Joker draw. What the fuck was that? Is it you got Godzilla walking through your town there, John? Hardy, are you there? Hello? Hardy.
Yes.
What the hell was that thing?
What was that noise, man?
Oh, I think it was a circular saw. Sorry, I'll mute.
It's so great is that you've been coming on these live streams every few months, and the construction never ends.
It never ends, man. We've had Hardy on at least, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times, and it's not all the time. Like there's stretches of months in between when he comes on, and every fucking time he's on, there's a goddamn table saw or a jackhammer in the background. Holy shit.
Life in Phnom Penh. That's what it is.
It is bad, man. I rehashing the last time you were on about the noise. I swear, man, you're all you're doing is breathing in like concrete dust. It's so bad. I mean, and there's no vegetation. There's no trees. It's hot. It's so I liked it just because how uncomfortable it was. The uncomfortability made me enjoy the place. Like, wow, I am so out of my element right now. It's amazing. Like, wow, I have diarrhea. I'm dehydrated. I'm coughing from concrete dust. I mean, this is just insane. But for Hardy, at your age, you're now 60, man, and you're going back to Canada where there's fresh air and a public library, which is like really nice and stuff. So I mean, like, I don't really know how much longer you can hold up living over there. Like, do you really want to die with in that apartment where all you hear is angle grinders and
yeah, man.
You know.
No, you don't want to. Rusky says, I think the average lifespan of a club is 5 years or so worldwide. That may be true. When it came to stadium, however, that club was owned by the military and police mafia. So that club was running as long as they really wanted it to. And you know why I got shut down? Because a fucking cop died from an overdose of ecstasy, some kind of bad ecstasy. And then,
it's always that one person that fucks it up for everybody.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you want to
build a shrine now? Knock down the stadium and build a memorial to the cop,
to the dead cop.
So wait. Before you move on, Hardy, discussing expatriatism, like. Honestly, how are you? I know you want to leave. And I know you've been contemplating leaving. Like, have you come to any realization? Like, do you think you're just going to wind up dying in Phnom Penh? Like, what's going through your mind right now?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the nice thing about getting older is that you don't have to worry about the future as much because there's less future to worry about.
Right.
But no, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to die in this fucking shithole. That's a very good point. But that's why I'm trying to think of some kind of a exit strategy. That's why I'm going back to Canada every year.
You got a family here, right?
Oh, I got brothers and sisters in Canada, but in Canada, I got brothers and sisters.
That's what I meant. Because, I mean, if you die over there, man, they might not ever see you again, let alone get your body out of there. Jesus, God knows what'll happen.
And I'm the youngest of my brothers and sisters, so, they're getting pretty old, too,
Yeah, right.
But,
all right. Do you want to, Lamprey, do you want to go over that one article on sex trafficking?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then we can kind of end it on that. And I know we got a lot more stuff to talk about, but we'll have to save it for.
No, we gotta cover the guy out in the ocean and the dude jump. We won't do the Ladyboy one tonight, but
okay.
Just make sure you save the Ladyboy Tinders because I deleted the file I sent you. So make sure you save it.
I got it. Yep, I got it saved. Yeah, that we'll save Ladyboy Tinder for another show. That should be good. All right, let me quickly go through this other article. DNC Development and Cooperation, Sex Tourism, Dubious Reputation by Katja Dombrowski. Jesus, is that another Jew? The fuck? The number of tourists in Cambodia has doubled over the past 4 years. Now, this article is about 4 years old, by the way. In 2014, more than 4 million foreigners visited the Southeast Asian country, attracted by the temples of Angkor, tropical beaches, and some of them by cheap and readily available prostitutes. And of course, that's all across Southeast Asia. The latest trend seems to be sexual abuse of children in Cambodia and orphanages. Not surprising. Male perpetrators, in the guise of tourists or volunteers, get easy access to underage girls and boys. Several cases of this sort were uncovered in the past years. The UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, CRC, stated any UN institution that says they're for children, they're fucking not. They're absolutely not. So if they have a title like Rights of Children, basically their position is to take away the rights of children. Anyway, in a reported release in February, it was concerned about orphanage tourism, which I've actually never heard of that before, but which seems to be a growing phenomenon where children in institutions and orphanages are being exposed to sexual exploitation by foreigners in Cambodia. Cambodia has long been a destination for male sex tourists from Asia and Western countries. Prostitution, although prohibited by law, is rampant all over the country and especially visible at the touristic hotspots. Whether in Siem Reap, the gateway to the famous temples of Angkor, or in the capital Phnom Penh, or the resort town of Sihanoukville, girls are readily available. They work in karaoke bars, massage salons, and on the streets. Interjections, gentlemen, before I continue?
No, okay, to keep going.
Okay. The newspaper Cambodia Daily quoted Tourism Minister Thong Kon as saying that there are 659 adult entertainment venues across the country, employing more than 11,000 workers. Not all of them are sex workers, of course. More than 1 in 4 establishments are unlicensed, according to the report, so the government does not regulate them. The statistics do not inspire confidence. Most prostitutes come from the poor Cambodian countryside, but some are from neighboring countries like Vietnam. Prostitution in Cambodia is cheap. It is said that women sell themselves for as little as $5. Western tourists, though, are more likely to pay at least $20 to $30. The prices are considerably lower than in Thailand, Cambodia's neighbor and one of the world's most notorious sex tourism destinations. Cheap and easy access to prostitutes is one of the reasons why the industry is on the rise in Cambodia. While the majority of those who pay for sex in Cambodia are Cambodians, the country's sex tourism industry is expanding. The UN Office of Drugs and Crime pointed out in a study on transnational organized crime in East Asia and the Pacific in 2013. Anything, or should I continue?
Finish reading the article, then I'll get into it and why we needed to pull this up.
Okay. The next part of the article. 1 in 3 prostitutes is under 18. Both sex tourists and local men demand underage girls and boys, according to the U.S. State Department's Trafficking in Persons report. Cambodian men form the largest source of demand for child prostitution. However, men from other Asian countries, the United States and Europe, travel to Cambodia to engage in child sex tourism. The UN's Children's Rights Committee estimates that 1/3 of prostitutes in Cambodia is under 18 years old. Human trafficking is a big problem. UNICEF states that some 37% of the victims trafficked for sexual exploitation in Cambodia are children. The U.S. State Department, however, reports that some children engage in prostitution without third-party involvement. They are driven by the need to survive. The country has the dubious reputation of being a haven for pedophiles. There's the secret word there. It is enough to ask a tuk-tuk driver, a guest house owner, or waiter for a little girl or boy. Even some desperate parents sell their daughters' virginity. The State Department authors acknowledge the sale of virgin women and girls continues to be a problem in Cambodia. Cambodia's trafficking in persons law provides penalties ranging from 2 to 15 years in prison for commercial sexual exploitation of children. The law also prohibits child pornography. However, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, also corrupt as hell, bemoan weak law enforcement and rampant corruption. Just like I said, activists say that the police and other government agencies benefit from the illicit businesses they are supposed to eradicate. The situation has been improving over the years. Nowadays, trials take place and convictions occur. National and international media report such cases. According to data compiled by Action pour l'Enfant, a Cambodian NGO, 115 foreigners were convicted of child sex crimes between 2003 and 2014. 115 in 10 years. Crazy. A recent case found a British man who was sentenced to 7 years in prison in February. He was found guilty of sexually abusing 4 boys under 15 at a cafe. And that's something that we're going to point out too in this article that a lot of this child sex trafficking is being done by sodomites. Let's just make sure that's understood. With this essay was finalized. When this essay was finalized in early March, ongoing trials concerned a British tourist accused of sexually abusing 4 girls between the age of 7 and 11 in Phnom Penh, and an American teacher at a private school in the capital. He's accused of abusing 4 impoverished Cambodia boys aged between 5 and 11. Last year, the Labour Minister announced new regulations aimed at protecting sex workers and other staff at entertainment venues. According to Cambodia's Daily Minister, Ith Sam Heng has promised new rules that will cover working conditions, safety, health, and access to HIV services. Ooh, here they come. The paper quoted the minister saying that employees in the thriving sector were to get legal protection for the first time. Initially, adherence to the regulations will be voluntary. However, the government plans to introduce fines, the newspaper reported. There's one more section. You want to interject there? Or do you want me to read the last section?
No.
Read?
Just read it a little bit slower.
Okay. Many boy victims... Okay, the last section. More boy victims than girls. Many of the children in the sex business are street children and thus vulnerable in all respects. Several local NGOs offer support. APLE has been working since 2003 to protect children, identify and counter the sexual abuse and exploitation of children, with a focus on traveling sex offenders. According to its website, the organization has established a hotline that allows anybody to report abuse anonymously. It also gives social and legal aid to victims and raises public awareness for the issue. APLE reports that it deals with more boy victims than girls. The reason is that this agency focuses on street-based exploitation, which mostly affects boys. Foreign sex offenders actively look for boys, according to APLE. Girls, on the other hand, are said to be more likely to become victims of established-based abuse and situational offenders. That's in quotes. The civil society network, ECPAT, Cambodia End Child Prostitution, Abuse and Trafficking, unites 26 NGOs and was established in 1995. Sexpat regularly conducts workshops to raise awareness for sexual exploitation of children in the tourism industry. The latest event, organized in January in cooperation with the Ministry of Tourism, was attended by representatives of 28 private sector companies from the tourism sector. Sexpat encourages hotels and other operators in the sector to establish a code of conduct to protect children. Most Cambodians are deeply ashamed of their country's image as a sex tourist destination. That will only change, however, if all sides work together. That was written by Katja Dombrowski, probably a Jew working for an NGO, and a female.
Well, there's a lot to chew on in that article. Let's start off with the fallacy is that women in Southeast Asia choose to be trafficked. One of my friends, I know two people that were trafficked. One was offered $20,000 to be put on a bus to be transported from Cambodia to Vietnam and up through Vietnam into China. We told her, you're not going to get $20,000. It's total bullshit. She made it, I think, halfway through Vietnam, realizing that it was a mistake and she was never going to get the money. So she was, I guess, clever enough to wise up that, what people such as myself were telling her happened to be the truth, that this is all bullshit. I mean, you're basically being slaved up to China again because of the short-term incentive, $20,000. Women put themselves in these really bad positions, and because their parents don't seem to really value their children like we do in the West, they are more than willing to put their children in those type of situations where they will be in fact trafficked up through to be some schlup in China's wife, basically. What would happen? Another one was trafficked up to China, again being promised X amount of dollars. She wound up staying in China for a year and a half. I don't know if I mentioned this story. She started making phone calls back to Cambodia saying, can someone please send me money because I need to get out of rural ass fuck part of China. Basically, the husband said, you're more than you're free to leave. How are you getting home? You have no money. I'm the one that brought you here. So basically, that's kind of what happened with her. Hardy knows one girl I used to see, Mary. Um, Absolutely stunningly gorgeous Khmer girl, spoke perfect English, and me and Hardy used to. I don't know if Hardy ever asked her, but I asked her, "How did you learn to speak such good English?" She said she was a housemaid in Malaysia, which means she was probably an indentured servant, possibly a sex slave in KL.
Ooh.
So a lot of these women wind up putting themselves in these type of positions, mostly obviously because of money. Their parents are poor. You know, I've mentioned before that the fathers barter their children as property, their chattel. Like, oh, I'll give you my daughter's virginity if you buy me coffees for the next year and a half. Okay, I can get coffees for the next year and a half if you get to take my daughter's virginity. A lot of the men, the older men who have children, they don't work. They sit around all day. I mentioned this on the Sexpatriots, Confessions of Sexpatriots #1 about my girlfriend's brother-in-law, where he sits around all day while her daughter goes and sells herself.
Right.
That is very commonplace. So that's one aspect of things. So this idea on tugging on your heartstrings comes from the NGOs, so they can get basically middle-aged white women to donate money to the NGO, and that money never goes to the women that it actually needs.
No.
It goes to the NGO's new Range Rover, or it goes to the NGO's CEO, who's going to be blowing the money on women himself.
Well, and it lets them monopolize the sex trafficking industry. Really, well, you know what these NGOs are doing. I mean, they're corrupt as hell, man. And you're absolutely right. It's an easy sell. It's an easy sell. Shame men saying that they're just coming here to fuck young women, which sets off alarm bells with the status quo and just your average feminist woman in the West. And then yeah, you're right. All this money funneled to these NGOs. And they're doing nothing but taking the money. They're not trying to solve any kind of problem. And in fact, they actually make the problems worse.
Right. Behind India, Cambodia is second place for the most NGOs in the world. I mean, again, Pol Pot is now 40 years removed, and they still have this. They still come in at second place for NGOs for a country of only 15 million. I mean, that is just 14 million, which is just absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of it. Again, is money laundering schemes from Europe and from the United States, but the other thing you have to put into perspective is that let me try to think here. That not only the concept that women put themselves into these type of positions is that the NGOs also have to again perpetuate this myth that it's Western men that are going to Asia to find little boys, when in fact they never discuss the Chinese or the Koreans or the Japanese that go to Cambodia to engage in pedophilic fantasies.
Yeah.
Okay. It's always focused on Western men, never on Chinese men, Japanese men, Korean men, Muslim men. It's always men from the West, which I find quite fascinating and amusing. That most of this sex trafficking and this human trafficking is transpiring on the behest of China.
Not Middle East. China and the Middle East.
But the NGOs are there to attack you. You, Western man, you're going to Asia to do these things. So whenever there's a chance to put a white face on the cover of a Cambodian newspaper, they'll do it. They'll never do it for a Chinese guy.
No.
Never be a Chinese man on the cover of that newspaper.
Or a brown guy or a Korean guy. Never. It'll never be. The other thing I wanted to point out is that in the article it does mention there's more boy victims, and that's just to the point that pedophilia and sex trafficking is rooted very deeply in sodomy and in the sodomite lifestyle, because you're starting with sexual deviancy, which in the West is just completely accepted now, 100% accepted. Oh, you like to take it in the ass? Good for you, man. But so the sexual deviancy is already normalized in the West to the point where it cannot be reversed, and so it just the sexual deviancy just continues to go deeper and deeper, and it slowly gets more and more normalized. So they're the ones that are coming over and they're exploiting young boys.
Well, how about Gary Glitter?
Gary Glitter.
Oh, you don't know who Gary Glitter is?
The name is familiar.
Can if the name is not ringing a bell, why don't you go ahead real quick and type in the name Gary Glitter?
All right, hold on a second here.
And you'll remember what he's famous for.
Gary.
I love
Glitter. Gary Glitter, Paul Francis Gadd, known by the stage name Gary Glitter, is an English former glam rock singer who achieved popular success in the 70s and 80s. He's known for his extreme glam image of glitter suits, makeup, platform boots, and his energetic live performances. Now that's Wiki. What am I missing here?
Dun 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 dun. That's Stadium Rock.
Okay.
He's the writer for the famous song. You know that song?
No,
I've always hated that song.
It's a disco.
Oh, I love that song, dude. That song is great.
Right. It's disco, so I don't listen to a lot of disco. So.
Well, it's played at every crowd venue in the Western Hemisphere, right? And Gary Glitter used to go to Vietnam to be a pedophile. He used to creep on little boys.
Of course.
And he's in jail.
He's in jail now. Okay. Of course.
And he's kind of the staple. He's kind of the staple of this whole idea of the sex trafficking and sex tourism of Southeast Asia. Once a prominent figure such as himself made, once it made headlines, that's where this whole, this myth of people going to this part of the world to, take advantage of impoverished children, which it does happen, and it still does take place.
Yeah.
It certainly is a major problem. But we talk about these street children again. The parents are putting their children in these situations for these things to in fact happen. If I'm going to be riding my motorcycle without a helmet on and drunk, and I get into an accident and my brains are spilled out all over the pavement, put myself in that situation, it's going to happen. Sorry, not sorry. Mm-hmm. This is what happens,
Yeah. Yeah, it does say in the late 90s, he was arrested in 97 and had a 99 conviction in the United Kingdom for downloading thousands of items of child pornography. He was also charged at the same time but acquitted of sexual activity with an underage girl in the 70s.
First 3 albums, Rusky, let it go. I did not say new Coldplay, son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, it says here, after settling in Vietnam, a Vietnamese court found him guilty of obscene acts with minors in 2006. Yep. Yeah, that's not that long ago either. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
But that article is saying that 1 in 3 prostitutes is below 18 years old. That's kind of statistic that these people just pull out of their arsehole.
Of course.
I mean, that's kind of like these, 1 in 4 college students, female college students have been raped on campus kind of statistics. These, they get those statistics by, these rape statistics, they get those statistics by saying, has any men ever given you unwanted attention? And 1 out of 4 women are going to say, yeah, some guy looked at me the wrong way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they go and say 1 in 4 women have been raped. And I think that's how they probably get this 1 in 3 prostitutes are underage.
Even common sense tells you it's bullshit. Rusky even asked that in the comments. 1 in 3 are under 18. True. Mekong says most hookers are in their 30s and are single moms. Yeah. which is
Yeah.
so. Yeah, Russ, you don't believe that bullshit. That's how they make their money. That's how the NGOs
And that's
make
why I
their money.
pointed out with that walkabout article too. At one point, she's saying all these aging prostitutes and a 40-year-old prostitute wheeling some guy in a wheelchair. Oh, and by the way, all these teenage prostitutes.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you just contradicted yourself. Are they old or are they young?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's true that the walkabout had a lot of old hookers, but the narrative, the thing that these journalists have to say, that what they're told, their marching orders are, keep pushing this underage narrative. That's what you got to keep doing.
Yeah, well, that's how the NGOs and the CEOs of the NGOs, according to Mekong Farong, get to own bars like the walkabouts.
You know, she's too young to make decisions. She needs to wait till she's 40 to have her first sexual encounter.
Yeah.
Then she's ready to make her right decision.
Rusky says, in response to Lamprey's mention of that Gary Glitter song, in quotes, "That song is great," says the guy who likes Coldplay.
I'm not saying that song is great. I don't mind that song. Dear God, I mean, the guy's name is Gary Glitter. Do you see what he's dressed up in?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty horrible. But yeah, as far as that article goes, you're absolutely right, John. There's a manipulation of statistics. They have to paint that picture, and in the end, it really is about these corrupt NGOs making money.
Yeah. There's a couple of comments with that article too. The comments, that's why I wish all these articles would include a comments section, because quite often comments are more informative and much more useful than the actual article itself. A lot of articles, I don't even...
Comment sections.
What?
They're doing
What's
away
that?
with comments. They are doing away with comment sections, if you haven't noticed.
Yes, they are. A lot of places don't allow it anymore.
Sucks.
Well, they need to keep a narrative going, man. They can't have the plebs giving their usually more informed opinion. Can't do that. Is there any comment in particular you were thinking about?
Let's see. I think the first one. There's only two comments. I think the first one. There's only two, but I'm just looking at it here. Oh, yeah, that near the end of the second one, there are one or two proactive NGOs, but they are also known to use questionable methods such as honey traps. These require that they get underage girls who can pass for 18 plus to entrap unsuspecting victims, follow him to the hotel, and then call the police. What is the real difference between this and a Murphy game? If you are unfamiliar with the term, it involves a prostitute luring a client to be robbed or blackmailed by an accomplice.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, man. Murphy game. Yeah.
Further up in that same comment, the NGOs that are reported to be combating pedophiles are on the whole scam, which are funded by native foreign donors who do not realize that the people running them are enjoying the holiday of their lives, driving around in 4x4s with their Khmer girlfriends.
Yeah.
Who they probably met at the walkabout or in hostess bars or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely, man. NGOs setting these traps. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
And this comment also says that local pedos account for 98% of the abusers.
Of course they do. I mean, that's the same in any country. I mean, it's your country. I mean, what's the local population, the native population compared to people that come there? You know? It's, of course it is. But anyway, that's just a good example of God, the corruption of NGOs, that's for sure.
Well, we're talking about Vice. I mean, I remember when Vice showed up they showed up on one of these, actually the street with the background near Riverside, where again there's the girly bars and stuff, and there's Vice doing a news feed from a girly bar, and I remember I think a bunch of sexpats were heckling them and throwing shit at them, telling them to leave us alone, like go away. What are you doing here?
Yeah,
you're just ruining everyone's good time. That's all you're here to do. That's really what the left is truly about: ruining a good time, a buzzkill.
Well, that's the least of it, really. On the outside, they have much more sinister motives, but I think ruining a good time is sort of just a side effect of their more sinister motives. But anyway, I'm going to read the last Thailand article, and then I'm going to have to go, guys. It says, and also Rusky says, all feminist NGOs against trafficking operate an underage excuse, even in the U.S., where you wouldn't be able to find an underage, even if you tried. Yeah. All right, we're going to go through one more article, guys, and then I'm going to have to call it a night. We are at... Hold on. We are at 3 hours and 15 minutes. So, now the last article you wanted me to bring up was about a couple in Thailand. I'll share the screen with.
This just was in the news this week. I'm like, wow, this is a crazy story.
Yeah. News.com.au, Australia, April 19th. Yeah. A couple could face penalty in Thailand over floating home. The couple were trying a radical experiment to live free of any country's laws, but one country is not happy about the arrangement. There's a picture of the nice couple. A dream to live at sea has left an American Bitcoin investor and his Thai partner in hot water with officials in Thailand. The two may face life in prison or death, holy shit, over violating the country's sovereignty. Thai authorities raided a floating home on Thursday in the Andaman Sea belonging to Chad El-Wartowski. Is he a Jew too? What the fuck? And Suprani Thepnet, known as Nadia, who sought to be pioneers in the seasteading movement. And I never heard about the well, maybe I have briefly. Seasteading movement, which promotes living in international waters to be free of any nation's laws. Sounds like a wonderful home for sodomites and their pedophilic getaways. Anyway, the couple had gone into hiding earlier this week, with El-Wartowski claiming Monday in a Facebook post that has since been deleted that Thailand wants us killed. Okay, so they deleted that from Facebook. Hunting us down to our deaths is just plain stupid and highlights exactly the reason someone would be willing to go out in the middle of the ocean to get away from governments, he wrote. We never had any ill intentions, and I even state plainly several times that I would not want to be a citizen of any seastead nation that would have me. The couple had been living part-time on a small structure they said was anchored outside Thailand's territorial waters, just over 12 nautical miles from shore. We were hoping to bring tourism to Phuket with an underwater restaurant, floating hotels and medical research, tech jobs, etc. We had 3 wealthy entrepreneurs in the past week tell us they were coming to live in Phuket because they were excited about the project, El-Wartowski wrote. A promotional video from March showed the couple toasting champagne to the future on the open water, with El-Wartowski saying the home built by Ocean Builders was the first of an additional 20 homes planned. There they are, toasting. And that looks like an Instagram post. We're looking forward to freedom-loving people to come and join us out on the open ocean, he said. Instagram photos and video posted by Nadia, also known as Bitcoin Girl Thailand, also showed life out at sea. But Thailand's Navy said the couple's outpost still endangered national sovereignty, charging them with Article 119 of the Thai Criminal Code, an offense punishable by life imprisonment or death. Thai authorities revoked El-Wartowski's visa on Wednesday and vowed to remove the home within a week. When they arrived at the home this week, the couple was gone. Good for him. In a statement released on Monday, Ocean Builders said the couple were volunteers, excited about the prospect of living free, and were no way involved in the design construction decision and where the home was located. Chad and Nadia are safe for now, but understand that Thailand is currently being run by a military dictator. There will be no trial if they are caught. They already demonstrated that by being judge, jury, and executioner for the historic very first seastead. While Thailand's Navy hit the couple with the serious charges, Police Colonel Nikorn Somsak told the South China Morning Post he would have to ask the Attorney General to proceed with the case since the outpost was technically in international waters. We have not met the couple yet. We have sent investigators to the home, but they were not there. We don't know what their thoughts are apart from the fact that it seems a bit extreme to want to be so isolated. He also hinted that the couple may not face the most serious punishment, telling the South China Morning Post, as of now, there is no evidence that their actions pose a risk to Thai sovereignty. El-Wartowski said in a separate Facebook post on Monday that has since been deleted that the couple are still safe and that she was worried about Nadia being driven from her home country and family. My biggest worry when they said they demolished it was that all I have is on the seastead. It was my home. Being a minimalist, I don't have much, but I care most about it. In all that I own is my postcards, he wrote. Wartowski said he accumulated a large stack of cards from the cities in 24 states across the U.S. As long as Nadia and I are able to live through this, that is all that matters to us right now. We just want to live. Seasteading has had a revival in recent years as libertarian ideas of living free from state...
There's been a lot of talk about bitcoins
shit.
this
The rise of Bitcoin has sparked the Bitcoin.
God damn. I had to mute the tab. Seasteading has had a revival in recent years as libertarian ideas of living free from state interference, such as by using cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin, have become more popular. Wartowski, an IT specialist, has been involved in Bitcoin since 2010. Several larger-scale projects are under development, but some in the seasteading community have credited the Andaman Sea House with being the first modern implementation of seasteading. And that's that.
Reminds me of the Phoenix Foundation.
Phoenix Foundation?
You ever heard of the Phoenix Foundation?
No.
It's pretty fucking intense, man. In 1975, these lunatics from the United States decided to go to like some room. I forgot what islands. It's like somewhere in the South Pacific. They were trying to develop. They started dredging sand and started building their own island that was going to be a complete free market location for anybody, where there's no government, no interference from any laws whatsoever. And they started building their own islands in basically in someone else's country, and they basically the whole project went to shit. But that's what it kind of reminds me of, the Phoenix Foundation. It was a complete failure because the neighboring islands kind of just worked together and says if they continue this in this way, we're just going to kill everybody on this man-made island, and that's the end of it. But if Mekong is correct, if they're only 12 miles offshore, that's not international waters.
Yeah.
It's like 12 miles is nothing, man. And
I think
you
it's
know,
got to be like 200 miles offshore.
yeah, you gotta be way out there. And not only that, I mean, this is another story. It reminds me of the movie Beach, where you get to Thailand and you're just, you know, you're amused, you're basking in this amazing country of freedom and sexy women, and you know, it's paradise, and you just take it to another level where you're just now building a platform off the coast, and you think you're immune to the world at large, when in fact there's ramifications for these things, and no country in their right mind would ever allow you to do such a thing.
No, of course not. Yeah, it's crazy.
So this guy's nuts, man.
It says Steve H says if you start your own country, you better have an army to protect it.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Not your Thai ladyboy.
Your Thai ladyboy isn't going to help you out, man, when they come for you. Yeah, and that seasteader movement, I've vaguely heard about it. But yeah, it. Hopefully they don't catch him, because quite honestly, if he was on the platform when they arrived, they would have fucking probably put a bullet in his head right there. You know what I mean? Put a bullet in his head, dumped him over the ocean, and that'd be the last we'd hear about it, man.
Well, I think it is pretty serious what he just tried doing. I mean, I don't. He's a minimalist. Meanwhile, he's building man-made structures out in the middle of the ocean. I'm a minimalist. Okay, I just want to, you know, sip champagne on my homestead, my seastead. You know.
Yeah. Okay. We can go for a few more minutes. I'll read that last article again related to.
Look, I got to go to work pretty soon, so I'm gonna have to say goodbye. Pretty quick.
Let me just.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Well, me and Ayam will wrap it up, but I appreciate it, Hardy. We'll definitely have you back on. It was good catching up.
Are you leaving now?
Yeah, we'll have an expat. Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta go to work pretty quick.
Okay,
so,
man.
Take care, you guys.
Yep. We got lots of more.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. See you later. All right. So.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Hit the likes, guys. Where's my likes?
Yeah,
There's
we need the likes.
I got 2 down. Piece of shit.
All right. Well, the last one we'll wrap up on is this one I found.
Yeah, we'll chat a little bit.
And
Where are we at? 3:15?
Yeah, 3:20. We got.
Oh, good. All right. We'll stay for another 10, 15 minutes. No worries.
British. This is on the British father, 51, who kicked his 29-year-old Thai wife to death when she refused to have sex with him. Dies from mystery injuries in a notorious prison in Thailand before his trial. So, it says a husband accused of strangling and kicking his wife to death when she refused him sex had died after suffering mysterious injuries in prison. The Foreign and Commonwealth offices confirmed British man Kevin Smitham's body was found at the base of Thailand's Ubon Ratchathani Central Prison. Smitham, 51, from Nottingham, was awaiting trial for the brutal murder of his Thai wife, Kendra Smitham, 29, on April 15th last year. That sounds like the... let me share the screen so that the viewers, because there's pictures of him here. That sounds like the absolute dregs of the Phnom Penh slide.
Yeah, man. Look, there's always those stories about foreigners getting whacked and winding up in prison for many years in Thai prisons. Again, a lot of we talk about the Bali Nine. And speaking of the Bali Nine, we're going to get into why the woman got released while all the other men got killed from the Bali Nine. We're going to save that possibly for next week.
Yeah.
Being released from prison now, which is just my mind hurts from even thinking about it. Like the rule of law is just out the window.
Well, justice worldwide is gynocentric, man. It's not blind. It ain't blind at all. Justice can sniff out a pussy a mile away, and that's not just in the West. That's everywhere. You kind of see it a little bit less, I think, in some third world countries that have different principles and maybe a corrupt court system, but it's still there. I mean, this guy that apparently murdered his wife, they had kids together. The couple who had 2 young children together had been staying with Miss Smitham's parents in the northeast of the country for the Songkran New Year festival, and her body was found under a blanket. Police claimed at the time Mr. Smitham attacked her, covered her body, and then went to bed. That's so bizarre.
It doesn't make any sense, man.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense. So again, this foul play. Again, you're in the home field advantage. Again, you're the outsider. So whatever, if things go bad, they're gonna go bad real quick, real fast in a country in Southeast Asia, as it turned out for this poor schlub.
Well, here it also says he was arrested, but it doesn't say he was convicted. He was just arrested and held in custody, and that was it. Somebody got to him in the prison, and it doesn't make sense for the guy to have 2 kids with her, and then just what? Oh, I don't want sex tonight, so I'm going to kick you to death? Bleh. Yeah, man. I mean, regardless of, again, we talk a lot of horror stories of Southeast Asia here, but I don't want to terrify people of it.
Well, I think these last 2 stories really sum up like how pure delusion, delusional. That last guy building a floating, First of all, how did he get the materials to even build this thing? Like, it doesn't. There's a lot of parts of the story that are left out. I'm like, how did he build this thing? How come the Thai government let him build this thing? Right? There's a lot. There's obviously more to the story than meets the eye, but for both these stories, that's the case.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guys just become delusional when they move to these countries. Again, we talk about the Phnom Penh slide. We spent the last 3 hours discussing these concepts. Look, I mean, it is, again, you have to be. You got to know yourself before doing any of this stuff. These last 2 guys didn't know themselves, and that's why one is dead and one's now going to be dead. So I mean, that's basically it in a nutshell. And I kind of wanted to wrap up this whole concept of sexpatriotism with having Hardy on, because I want to put it to bed indefinitely for the foreseeable future, so as long as I do these live streams with Ayam, because there was a lot of this topic left a lot of loose ends for me because we keep drifting in and out of the topic of Asian women, and I really wanted to close it. I want to close this chapter, and I don't really want to revisit it because it's kind of a beating of a dead horse type of thing. Go on, what are you saying?
I was going to say, I mean, we don't need to constantly beat the dead horse of Asian women or sexpatriotism, but expatriatism.
Beat the dead lady boy.
Yeah, beat the dead lady boy. But I think it's good for us to revisit the concept of Southeast Asia and expatriatism to a certain degree because not many other people are talking about it. And our collective experience is enough that we can at least give decent and realistic information and advice about it. You know, it's not something I want to drop entirely.
But the one thing is where I disagree with you. I understand the concept of hypergamy. I understand female nature, but I definitely see a difference between Western women and Asian women. And it's comparing. I always joke with you. I say it's comparing Apple to Samsung. They're both phones, but their platforms, their operating system is totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well. Anyway, I guess we better wrap it up. I got to get out of here. But
all right.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're gonna take off now. Warrior, thanks.
Hit the like.
Yeah, hit the like, sub if you haven't subbed yet. It was good to see you guys here. Again,
we're at 3,500 guys. We finally hit a milestone as far as subscriptions. So it's been a lot of fun. I think it's like 400 subscribers the past year and a half. So it's been a good ride.
Yeah. Okay, guys, take care. We will see you again in approximately a week. And be safe, be wise, brothers. Talk to you later.
Good night.
Night.
Peace.